Everyone else got a clean global train survival game kit, 10 years on Planet Blue with billions of players. I got a Plants vs. Zombies hand, one sunflower, one pea shooter, sun economy on a steam train. I was Gang Myong, agriculture grad student transmigrated mid-swing. Then the hint panel pinged. The Plants vs. Zombies system bound to my soul. And by Plainstown, my garden dropped a heavy armored giant zombie at a crack intersection. The silliest cheat was the one nobody could counter. Pause for 2 seconds and click like. Click subscribe. Your support is the only reason these videos get made. All of that came after a quiet, ordinary morning. Let me take you back there first. Cold and pungent, the smell of metal and engine oil is the first thing that hits me. I snap my eyes open and find myself flat on a hard iron floor, surrounded by riveted walls that gleam with a cold industrial sheen. A dark hulking machine eating most of the space around me. I have seen this thing in videos before, an old-fashioned coal-fired boiler, except the body is glossy and looks brand new, and a blue glowing sci-fi control panel is bolted right into the side of it, completely out of place against all that retro iron. I rub the back of my aching head and realize my work clothes are gone, replaced by a plain black tracksuit, and the shovel I had been gripping has vanished into thin air. I wonder out loud where the hell I have been dumped. My memory is still stuck on the experimental fields of Hannam Provincial Agricultural University, the exact moment I was swinging a shovel at a farm chicken that had eaten my graduation project, high-yield corn I had nursed from dawn till dusk, for half a year. Before I can even process that, a synthesized electronic voice rings directly inside my skull, and red text floats onto my retina telling me 3.7 billion players between ages 18 and 50 are now logged in, welcoming us to the global train survival game, informing me Planet Blue has entered time stasis so I do not need to worry about my parents back home, and that the survival cycle is 10 years, with everyone returned to full health and free to explore. The system lists what I have been issued: an initial steam locomotive plus 1 initial carriage, a newbie gift pack containing 1 shovel, 10 coal chunks, a 1-liter canteen full of water, and 3 compressed biscuits. It tells me to silently recite attribute panel to view my status, talent to view my exclusive ability. I exhale once, because at least my mom and dad are safe in stasis, and my graduation project is already digested chicken feed, and I get to work. I have spent years reading web novels and playing games, and the absurd shape of this situation is so familiar, I almost laugh. The attribute panel snaps open, semi-transparent across my vision. My ID is a long string of digits I do not bother reading aloud. My constitution sits at 8 with a note about strong bones from years in the fields. My nerve reaction also at 8 because being young means fast reflexes. And my spirit at 10/10, which the system marks as the human limit, with a remark about possible natural gifting. That last line catches me, and I immediately call up the talent panel. The interface switches and lays out my exclusive ability. Hint panel. Level 1 at 0 out of 100. An active skill that costs 1 point of spirit to view a target's panel. Depth of detail scaling with level. The remark at the bottom mocks me, saying with this I can see through everything, and if I can only see the name, then that is my problem. My mouth twitches at the wording, but I will take it. A flashing icon in the corner of my vision catches my eye, and I poke it open. 2 channels exist, Planet Blue and Korea, both grayed out for player messages and limited to system announcements. They warn me this is a real survival world, that I will still get hungry and thirsty and bleed and die. That the mist crawling outside the windows is full of monsters and currently only retreats between 8 in the morning and 8 at night. That the train is my sanctuary and I should modify and upgrade it. That the chat system only works inside the train. That no one can board my train without my permission until durability hits 0. That traveling along the tracks leads to stations where the mist does not reach, and where resources and danger both wait. Regional channel number 9996 is lit up with 10,000 out of 10,000 online, and the send button shows 5, meaning I get 5 messages per day. The regional channel is an absolute torrent. Someone is screaming about being kidnapped naked from the shower and dressed in this ugly tracksuit. Someone is panicking about not having a driver's license and being asked to operate a train. A paralyzed player is sobbing thank you to the game daddy because he can walk and jump again after 3 years in a wheelchair. Someone claiming to be a Brother Biao type from a wealthy district is offering to bring people along, and a guy named for Fireballs is bragging about awakening a fireball talent. I curl my lip and close the box. 5 messages a day, and these idiots are burning theirs on crying for help. I am not joining them. A familiar little melody suddenly starts playing in my head, the opening notes of Plants vs. Zombies, and I freeze. The system pings, telling me a Plants vs. Zombies modded version has bound to me successfully. Sun value at 0. Currently unlocked plants are the sunflower, and the system needs 100 sun value to reach the next level. I click the sunflower with my consciousness, and a green panel rolls open, listing the seed conversion at 20 sun value per 1 ordinary sunflower seed, planting condition of 500 grams of ordinary soil, planting consumption of 500 milliliters of fresh water, and 1 converted seed. Growth time 1 hour, health points 3. Output 1 sun value every 10 minutes provided it gets sunlight. I pat my pockets out of pure reflex even though I know there is nothing in them. Of course, sun value does not fall from the sky in this game. I stare at the glaring 0 on the panel and realize this is the classic chicken and egg trap. Plant a sunflower to make sun, except you need sun to make a sunflower. I sigh and walk toward the train window. Cheat systems never strand you at the entry stage. There has to be a workaround, and standing in the sun and seeing what happens beats sitting around waiting to die. Outside, the grayish-white mist is dissolving in real time, and warm golden sunlight pours across my face. Nothing happens for a moment, but then my gaze catches the line currently loaded plants, set to none. I click the option and a pop-up tells me I can load the sunflower for 1 point of spirit. I select it instantly, and a pale yellow icon flashes in the corner of my retina, telling me sun value +1. I pump my fist. The trick is me, I am the sunflower. The implications hit immediately and I am already daydreaming. If I am a walking sunflower, then what about a walking Gatling P, a walking Cobb cannon, a one-man army standing on top of a speeding train hurling artillery at zombie tides? I almost slurp at the imaginary saliva at the corner of my mouth before catching myself. First things first, I turn to the train control panel, which has exactly 1 line on it telling me to add fuel. I dump all 10 of my newbie gift pack coal chunks into the fuel compartment intake and pull the panel up. It tells me my configuration is initial steam locomotive +1 initial carriage, fuel compartment at 10/100, current location, initial landing point, next stop the abandoned wilderness small station. Max speed 50, current time 8:10 in the morning, with start, stop, and search for station buttons. The search on cooldown for 11 hours and 50 minutes. This panel is a half-finished product. No fuel consumption rate, no mileage. Information is life in a survival game, so I aim my talon at the console and burn a point of spirit. Light blue text fills in the blanks, telling me total train weight is 30, locomotive durability 300/300, initial carriage 100/100. The next stop is 150 units of distance away, and fuel consumption at max speed is 1 unit of coal per 60 minutes. I do the math in my head. 150 distance at speed, 50 is 3 hours. 1 coal per hour, 3 coals to get there. Out of 10, 30% of my reserves for 1 trip. If the next station does not cough up fuel, I can only reach 2 more stops, and getting stranded in the open at night with the mist rolling in is a death sentence. I press the start button. The old steam train coughs white smoke. The chassis vibrates, the wheels grind into motion, and the chugging picks up speed. I leave the sunflower on me to keep ticking sun and step through the iron door into the initial carriage. The walls are brand new sheet metal, with only 2 bolted machines in the corners. The left one lights up under my touch, showing the workbench base with a crafting list of coal, shovel, simple single bed, and 4-piece bedding set. I hover over coal. The system tells me crafting requires power, and power means burning fuel. I cannot manufacture coal without coal. The simple single bed needs 10 units of wood, which I do not have. The other machine is a recycling station for cotton and linen, wood, and iron products. Conversion rate 10%. I almost spit blood. 10 shovels in to recover the materials for 1. This is a scam, but it is the only conversion path I have. Hardcore start. Resource management above all else. I close the carriage door, return to the locomotive, lean against the window, and bask. The sunflower ticks at 1 point per 10 minutes, painfully slow. I open the channel out of boredom and my pupils shrink at the online count. 9,954 out of 10,000. Already down. Probably the panicked ones who got off the train. 3 hours later, the brakes scream and the train shudders to a halt. The system announces arrival at the abandoned wilderness small station. I grab my shovel, sling the canteen, and step off cautiously. The platform concrete is cracked and crusted with dark filth, and the only sound is wind moaning through the broken waiting hall. Dilapidated tables and chairs scatter the interior, shadows in the corners. I am in no hurry to enter, because 2 gray treasure chests sit on the platform looking exactly like newbie freebies. And newbie freebies in survival games are how you die. I aim my talent at the left chest, burning a point of spirit. It reads gray resource box, contains coal ×10, iron block ×2, and a weak wild dog. The note tells me the dog is waiting for some unlucky person to open the box and deliver takeout. Its teeth carry the fatal rabies virus, and if I get bitten and have no medicine, I end the game early. My heart lurches and cold sweat breaks out across my back. If I had walked over and flipped that lid open, I would already be a corpse. I aim at the right chest next. Another point of spirit gone, and this one reads compressed biscuit ×5, coal ×5, leftover raw melon seeds ×3. The note adds that these are actually raw sunflower seeds, leftovers but genuinely good seeds. My pupils constrict. Seeds. Sunflower seeds. Without the hint panel, I would have opened the dog box first, because it was closer to the edge. Like hell, I am letting some game dog bite me in my next life either. I stride to the right chest, flip the latch, and the lid pops open on 5 chunks of coal, 5 neat packs of compressed biscuits, and 3 tiny melon seeds in the corner. 3 seeds would not fill a gap between teeth as food, but right now they are more valuable than gold. I pinch one. The system identifies it as a common item raw melon seed in intact condition and asks whether to spend 20 sun value for a magic mod conversion. I glance at my balance and almost groan, because 3 hours of sunbathing on the way over has me sitting at exactly 19, 1 point short. The game is laughing at me. Fine, I will wait. I plant myself on the resource box, palm the seed, and stick my hands and face into the sun, eyes flicking toward the hall every few seconds. Out of habit, I try to open the chat to kill time, and nothing happens. The attribute panel also will not answer. Cold sweat all over again until I sprint back to the train, call the panel, and it pops right open. I post a tentative question in the channel asking if anyone else loses system access outside the train, and within 2 minutes the channel explodes with confirmations and curses about the same problem. It clicks for me. The game is forcing us to stay alert with our own senses, not lean on the panel. I head back outside, but a second realization stops me cold. That my hint panel and the gold finger still work off train. The talent belongs to me. The constitution number is just a label on what I always had. My heart settles. 10 minutes later, the balance ticks to 20. I think the word convert. My palm warms. Green light flashes, and the shriveled little seed rounds out and plumps with a tiny smiling face appearing on the shell. The system confirms the magic mod sunflower seed, describes it as my source of hope, and tells me that as long as there is light, it will keep producing energy. I exhale and tuck it into my inner pocket. I cannot leave the rest of the hall exposed on an open platform, so I try to drag the box and it will not budge. Then thump it with my shovel and the whole thing dissolves, dropping the contents on the ground. 2 trips later, the coal, biscuits, and remaining 2 seeds are stacked in the locomotive. I set the converted seed on the control console with the reverence of someone shelving an heirloom, because if anything in this carriage gets scratched, it should not be that. The waiting hall is next. I stand at the doorway and let my eyes adjust. The mold and dust scratch at my throat, and my gaze lands first on 5 flower pots in the left corner. For a man who needs to plant a sunflower yesterday, flower pots and soil are sexier than food. I squat and pinch a sample from one of the pots. Dry, hard, dusty, crumbling at the first squeeze. No organic matter, no moisture. I have been an agriculture student long enough to call dead potting soil at a glance, and dead soil cannot hold water or roots. I do not have water to spare to revive trash dirt anyway. I drop it and stand. Under a row of toppled chairs, I spot 2 rolled away mineral water bottles, both sealed and uncontaminated according to the hint, and they go straight into my pack as a free win. Then I see the door at the very back, ajar, the peeling sign reading security room, and through the crack a faint ghastly white shape swaying. I hunch, creep along the wall, stop at 5 meters, and burn another point of spirit on the hint panel. The target reads zombified security guard. Race undead infected. Constitution 10. Nerve reaction 1 with stiff joints. Status wandering unconsciously. Weakness the head is the location of the central nervous system. Traits including acute hearing that catches footsteps but not heartbeats. Degenerated vision and carrier of the zombie virus. Behind it on an iron shelf sits a box softly glowing white. I want that box. The room is narrow, and if it pins me in a corner, even a nerve reaction of 1 with Constitution 10 is enough to snap my neck. Acute hearing. I pick a fist-sized rock from the floor, heft it, and whip it across the room at a tin trash can on the far side of the door. The clang of metal on metal explodes through the empty hall, and a low growl rolls out of the security room. The door bangs open, a tattered uniform stumbles out, grayish-white eyeballs rolling, blackish-red flesh hanging from rotting cheeks, and the thing lunges straight at the trash can, its back completely exposed to me. I move. The core strength I built up swinging a hoe across the experimental fields explodes at once. My feet dig in, my waist drives my spine, my arms swing in a wide arc, and the shovel head whistles down and lands on the back of the zombie's skull. No flashy choreography, just the simplest lethal strike. The dull thud is a heavy hammer on a watermelon, mixed with the snap of bone, and the thing's head deforms and collapses on the spot. The body crumples like a sack of wet sand. I stay panting in defensive posture, shovel up, watching the corpse swallowing back the nausea that wants to rise. Before I can fully exhale, the corpse flickers like an unstable holographic projection and dissolves into black light particles that vanish into the air, leaving the floor spotless. It really is a game. At least it cleans up after itself. Without a corpse to stare at, the revulsion fades. I wipe sweat, level my breathing, and step into the security office. The white treasure chest waits on the shelf. I plant myself 2 meters back and burn another point of spirit, because in this world recklessness is death. The hint reads, white supply box, contents riot fork ×1, stab-proof vest ×1, high-intensity flashlight ×1, braised beef noodles ×1 case of 24 packs, pure water ×24. Then the line that ices my spine, triggered trap. The bottom of the box is connected to a spatial teleportation node. The moment I open the lid, a hungry zombie will teleport to a spot half a meter in front of the box and initiate a loving hug. My scalp prickles. Half a meter. That is closer than my own forearm. The long-handled shovel would be useless and my throat would be torn out before I could blink. Without this talent, I would be a corpse already. Twisted game designer. But the contents are end-of-the-world god gear. Water, Food, stab-proof armor, a long-handled riot fork, and I am not walking away from that even if it kills me. The box will not move. I have to open it where it sits. I exit the office, scan the entrance in the hall, and the plan assembles itself. Since the zombie wants to spawn in my face, I will make sure it cannot get to me. I lean the shovel against the wall and start hauling. A heavy solid wood desk scrapes painfully out of the hall and wedges horizontally about 1.5 meters from the chest. 2 rows of heavy metal waiting chairs slam into the desk on either side. Broken mop handles and scrap building material go into the gaps, bracing everything up into a sturdy fortification with only a narrow opening above the desk for me to attack through. I am panting and sweating into the dust by the time I finish, but the desk and chair trap is beautiful, and I nod at it with satisfaction. This is the romance of the prudent faction. I stand behind the desk, slide the shovel handle through the gap, unhook the latch, and flick the lid open with the shovel blade. The roar explodes the second the lid lifts. A black shape materializes out of thin air and lunges, and the impact slams against the desk so hard the chairs slide back a few centimeters. The wood screams, but the fortification holds. The zombie's upper body is jammed against the desk, its lower half wedged between box and desk, and its rotting arms flail at me across the wood, mouth opening and closing, bloodshot eyes bulging. The meat just out of reach. I tell it to stop screaming and admire the physics. Then I lift the shovel. The first strike whistles down and shatters its flailing left wrist. The second slams its shoulder and nearly tears the body in half. The thing scratches at the tabletop, fingernails shrieking on wood, and accomplishes nothing against the bracing. The last strike comes down with my whole body behind it, and the skull bursts like a melon. The roaring stops, the hand goes limp, and the thing dissolves into black light. I drop onto the floor, toss the shovel aside, and my arms feel like wet noodles. Brushing shoulders with death plus high-intensity output equals exhausted. The slaughter looked one-sided, but my heart was running the whole time. A few minutes later, I shift the barricade and reach the chest. The police stab-proof vest is the first thing out. A common quality high-density polyethylene and stainless steel composite. Function listed as effective against blades, claws, and bites. Evaluation noting it cannot stop bullets, but against zombie claws and teeth, it is my second life. I peel off my jacket, strap it on tight under my clothes, and the dense weight settles over my chest, having my dread. Next is a stainless steel riot fork 2 meters long with a U-shaped crescent fork head. Characteristic equilibrium, allowing me to lock a target's neck or limbs and pin them to the ground from 2 meters out. Evaluated as the artifact for soloing melee units. Paired with my shovel, it makes me the 5-star general of the platform. My mouth twitches at the note, but I confirm the gear is good. The 24 packs of braised beef noodles and 24 bottles of pure water are priceless. I hum a little tune like a hard-working hamster and ferry the loot back to the carriage in batches. The corner of the initial carriage now holds a small, reassuring mound of supplies: coal, water, instant noodles, riot weapons, stab-proof vest, and the seed in my pocket. A dreamy start. I sit on the floor, unscrew the canteen, and gulp cold water down my parched throat. It tastes like coming back to life. I tell myself to stop savoring and look out the window at the gray box I abandoned on the far left edge of the platform. Coal, iron, and a rabies-carrying wild dog. Half an hour ago, I would have run from a high-attack, high-agility venomous monster, but I am wearing stab armor now and gripping a 2-meter weapon. The hunter look settles into my eyes. Wild dog. Rabies. My takeout is here. Come out and take the order. I plant myself 2 meters from the gray box and breathe deep. I hook the U-mouth onto the latch and jerk upward. The lid pops open, and a black shape with most of its fur shed and pus oozing from its sores rockets out behind a torrent of mad barking. Faster than the zombie was. Its hind legs kick and it goes for my throat with a mouthful of fangs. I drive forward instead of back, and the riot fork punches out and the U-mouth catches its neck mid-air. The impact runs the length of the shaft and goes numb in my thumb, but I plant my feet and pin the mad dog suspended in the air. It twists, claws raking at nothing, mouth dripping foul saliva 1 meter from my face, but the absolute distance of the 2-meter fork is a wall. 1 inch longer is 1 inch stronger. The ancients did not lie to me. I hold the fork down with my body weight, grab the shovel with my free hand, and the blade comes down twice and flattens the dog's head. It yelps once and dissolves into black light. No corpse. The bottom of the box yields 10 units of coal and 2 iron ingots, which I ferry back to the carriage in batches. The moment the door closes, the exhaustion crashes in. My stomach gives a convulsive complaint, and the console tells me it is 14, 15, more than 3 hours since I got off. I sit by the window, tear open a compressed biscuit and chase it with water. Dry, choking starch, the most delicious carbohydrate in my life. I check my spirit and find it at 4 of 9 of 10, the actual maximum still being 10 but reduced by 1 for the loaded sunflower. 5-hint panel uses spent 5 spirit. The talent is not for spamming. I open the regional channel and the survivor count slaps me in the face. 8,876 of 10,000. In half a day, over 1,000 have died. The channel is suffocating. Someone is begging for hemostatic medicine after a dog bite that will not stop bleeding and is turning black. And someone else tells them flatly that is rabies. Lie down and wait. Someone wants to go home. Someone is starving. And amid the wailing, a fireball user is laughing about blowing a zombie's head off. A self-identified retired special operations instructor publishes the first version of a survival guide, warning not to turn and run from zombies, that they react slowly but lunge fast, that flanking works if you sidestep early, that only head attacks kill, that without a teaming function you must hoard your initial resources, and not explore blindly. Another player adds that you can open boxes from the side because the spawn lunges past you, leaving you a clean shovel strike. I read in silence. No team function is actually good news for me, because a person is innocent but treasure makes him guilty, and my carriage of supplies makes other humans more dangerous to meet than zombies. I lean back, close my eyes, rest until 4 in the afternoon. The search station button is still gray with hours left until 8 at night. Idle is wasted, so I shovel back out and do a careful carpet search of the entire station for a full 2 hours. Apart from the hall and the platform, the surroundings are sealed off by an invisible air wall with no exit. By 6, the sky has not changed at all and looks fake. I dump the dead soil out of the 5 flower pots, leaving 5 empty pots that are temporarily useless, and tally my belongings. 15 coal, 9 compressed biscuits, 24 braised beef noodles, 26 bottles of pure water, 1 magic mod sunflower seed, 2 raw melon seeds, 5 flower pots, an empty military canteen, 2 iron ingots, and the equipment loadout of stab-proof vest equipped, riot fork, shovel, and high-intensity flashlight. Coal is sufficient, food and water are fine for now. The missing pieces are wood, iron, and cotton linen. I look back at the hall. No more treasure chests, but plenty of broken wooden tables, deformed iron trash cans, and tattered curtains. Conversion rate is 10% and painful, but quantity beats quality eventually. I become a porter. Curtains, tablecloths, rotting chairs, broken tables, even the solid wood desk I used to brace the trap. All of it gets dragged back to the carriage one piece at a time. When the carriage is full, I stage the overflow on the platform. I check the recycling station's energy cost with a final point of spirit, and the hint tells me 1 coal supports 36 minutes of operation, which is enough to chew through everything I have piled up. Coal is precious, but sleeping on steel slows recovery and invites sickness, and long-term development requires a bed and bedding. I start the recycling station, gears turn, the feed inlet opens, and the machine rumbles low. I feed it chair by chair, bucket by bucket, curtain by curtain, narrating to no one as I go, telling the rotten chair to get in, telling the rusty bucket to go, telling the moldy curtains to get lost. The grinding sound inside is teeth on bone. 30 minutes later, the mountain is devoured and the conveyor spits out 12 units of wood, 2 iron ingots, and 10 units of cotton linen. My eyes light up and I clench my fist. The big heavy desk paid out a lot of wood. This is enough for the simple single bed, and the 4-piece bedding set with material left over for a small planting box. I am not sleeping on the floor tonight. I mutter to myself that I already have flower pots, and everything is now ready except the soil. I drop the new wood into the crafting station's input slot and select the simple wooden single bed first. Weapons and food matter most for survival on paper, but body temperature and sleep quality are equally decisive for staying alive, and my spirit demand is high right now, which means I need real rest to recover mental energy. The machine hums to life, gentler than the recycling station, and I watch the wood get sucked in as soft cutting sounds rise from inside. The countdown reads 30 minutes. My nerves finally unclench a notch. In the few hours since I was pulled into this global train survival game, I have survived 3 life and death moments at the wilderness station. The security room zombie, the gray box mad dog, and the white chest spawn trap. And every one of them would have killed me if not for the hint panel. I use the gap to organize the carriage. Compressed biscuits and braised beef noodles go into one corner. The bottles of pure water line up against the other side with the empty canteen on the outside. Iron ingots and wood stack next to the recycling station. And the riot fork and shovel rest by the door. The crafting station pings half an hour in, and I lift a brand new wooden bed out of the output port, plain in style but solid in build. Faintly scented with raw wood. I set it under the window and load the 4-piece bedding set next. Another 30 minutes. I lean against the window and watch the wilderness. The sun's still high in the sky like an eternal oil painting with no intention of setting. I wonder out loud when this weather system will ever change, and guess it is a novice protection period, because the first station was not difficult, but a blizzard or acid rain next would double the death count fast in a stingy game that even makes you build your own bed. The crafting station pings again, and I pull out the bedding, rough cotton linen that counts as luxury in this environment, with one pillowcase swapped surprisingly for a thin quilt. I spread the sheets, tuck the duvet cover, and lay the pillow at the head, and the carriage suddenly feels a little like home. I try lying down, and the softness pulls a sigh out of me. Steel floor is in the rear view forever. I refuse to sleep badly when spirit recovery hinges on rest, because the hint panel is what keeps me breathing in this world. If spirit lags and I cannot use the talent in a pinch, I am done. I sit back up and open the regional channel. Quieter now, only occasional messages drifting by. Someone wants to know how to start a fire because their train has no heating and compressed biscuits are too hard to eat. Someone tells them to be grateful they are alive because a mutant rat almost killed them, someone complains. The first station only coughed up 5 coal and a little food. I do not speak. 5 messages a day is too few, and exposing my situation is suicide. The online count reads 8,820, one of 10,000. Dozens more gone. I head to the front of the train near 8 at night and stand at the console. The search station button is gray with only minutes left. I watch the countdown tick through 1958, 1959, 20, and the button flips to green. I press it instantly. The boiler roars, the carriage vibrates, the power needle swings wide, and the panel shows current power at 30, fuel compartment at 5.34 of 100, estimated search time 1 hour, estimated fuel consumption approximately 1 unit. I frown. The commotion is the same as full-speed travel, and the system calculates coal down to 2 decimal places like it is mocking me. 1 unit a day in search alone is 30 a month, plus travel, plus the crafting and recycling, and fuel pressure is real. Fuel is the top priority. The sky drops black in seconds, and the carriage lights snap on. A golden system announcement box pops up telling me the trading channel and trading shop open tomorrow morning at 8 in the morning. That the trading channel shares chat limits with the regional channel. That tomorrow's exploration treasure chests will include survival coin drops as the unique currency of the trading shop. And to enter the channel tomorrow for details. The regional channel detonates with lurkers. Someone wants to trade food for coal. Someone reminds them every message burns chat limits. Someone burns their last one anyway. And several people ask big shots what survival coins are and what the shop sells. Someone observes the game is encouraging killing monsters and opening chests. I curl my lip. My corner of the carriage holds 24 packs of braised beef noodles and 26 bottles of pure water in a world where some people cannot even find compressed biscuits, which is a fortune most players would envy. Tomorrow I will watch prices first and see if a small amount of food can pry loose the soil and blueprints I actually need. A soft ping. The hour-long search finishes. The boiler settles back to standby, and the system tells me a station has been discovered. The Withered Garden Small Station, automatically added to navigation with limit 1 of 2. I pull up the Plants vs. Zombies panel and see current level 1, sunlight required for upgrade 100, current sunlight 50, unlocked plant sunflower, loaded plant sunflower. I have been basking all day, accumulating 70 points since morning. 20 went into converting the first seed, 50 left. I stare at the number and the dilemma lands. The system upgrade needs 100, which by genre logic should unlock the pea shooter next. Real combat power. Even a walking pea shooter would jump my safety. But I only have 50 now, halfway up the ladder. If I sit on 50 and gather another 50 tomorrow, I unlock the pea shooter. But what if the modded system unlocks something else and I have wasted the points? Alternatively, 50 sun converts, 2 more sunflower seeds, 3 sunflowers running together would triple my sun production and snowball the system faster. The only catch being whether I can trade for soil tomorrow. The next station's name is Withered Garden, which probably has soil. Classic development path choice. Immediate combat power versus long-term resource efficiency. I roll on the bed for a while, brain spinning, because every choice in this world is welded to my survival and cannot be made carelessly. If the next station's monsters are stronger, no pea shooter could be a death sentence, but if monster strength stays where it is, the riot fork and shovel handle it fine. Conversely, stacking sunflowers now makes everything later easier. System upgrades or combat plant conversions. I close my eyes and tell myself to sleep first. Decide tomorrow. Outside the window, the night is ink thick, and where the platform was empty a few hours ago, countless blurred and distorted dark shadows have appeared without me noticing. I sleep deep for the first time. The floor is gone, the coarse cotton linen sheets are thick, the thin quilt smells faintly of plant fiber, and the long-lost cocooned feeling almost makes me forget I am in a survival world. When my body clock wakes me, the carriage is still dark. I tuck my neck and pull up the panel without getting up. The time reads 7 in the morning. I rub my eyes and sit up draped in the quilt. The carriage is the same temperature as during the day, probably because of the novice protection, which makes sense because cold nights would have wiped out half the player base by now. I shuffle to the window to see the platform, and the moment my gaze touches it, a chill shoots from my spine to the top of my skull, instantly clearing every trace of sleep. I gasp and recoil half a step behind the curtain. The sky outside is pitch black ink. The train's front lamp casts only a small dim yellow halo, and beyond that halo and deep into the dark, the platform that was empty last night is now crowded with countless humanoid shadows. They wear rags, some have twisted limbs, some are missing arms or legs, and unlike yesterday's violent zombies, these wander like sleepwalkers in dead silence. A few wobble past close enough that I see grayish-white pupils and shriveled skin, but they pay the train no mind at all, as if an invisible rule prevents them from sensing the living person inside. I hold my breath, my heart hammers. If I had stepped off the train at this hour, I would have been buried in a tide of corpses with not a bone left. Lucky I was not greedy yesterday. Lucky I did not stay out late scavenging or step off in the middle of the night to relieve myself. In this world, the rules are red lines. Future search times must end before 8 at night no matter the harvest. I also realized that yesterday's daytime zombies were chasing me specifically, not the train, otherwise they would not have dispersed. This is highly likely a novice protection trick because we just landed and the strongest weapon is a shovel and the game cannot turn the monsters loose yet. I shudder. The train's own defense and counterattack cannot be neglected in case the protection lifts. Once I confirm the shadows ignore the train, I sit back on the bed and wrap up tight in the quilt. No point scaring myself further when the carriage is safe. I open the personal panel. Name Gang Myong, Constitution 8, Spirit 9 of 9 of 10, status healthy and slightly hungry. The hollow-headed exhaustion of yesterday is gone, replaced with a refreshing fullness. Building the bed first was the right call. 9 points of spirit means 9 hint panel uses today, which steadies my nerves. I think about a new habit burning surplus spirit down to 1 before sleep, so a full night refills it anyway. Waste not, want not. I open the chat. The Korea and Blue Star channels are dead silent. Just the cold announcement that new functions open at 8. The regional channel that was a screaming pit yesterday is rare silent. The last message a late-night discussion about whether medicine can be traded for once the trading channel opens. Everyone has learned their lesson. The survivor count reads 8,806 of 10,000. Whoever made it to the second morning got lucky or adapted to the cruelty, and everyone is waiting on the 8 o'clock trading system to crack the deadlock, because everyone has surplus useless to themselves that might be a lifesaver to someone else. Less than an hour, I take out 3 bottles of pure water and 1 compressed biscuit, top up the canteen with 2 bottles, finish the biscuit bite by bite, then walk to the front and shovel 10 coal into the fuel bunker, replenishing the 5+ units I burned yesterday. The bunker reads 14.34 of 100. While waiting for dawn, I work the night's question again. Upgrade the system to unlock the pea shooter, or convert 2 more sunflowers. The waiter never loses out. After a night of cooling down, my thinking is cleaner. If I upgrade now, I do not have enough sunlight, and if I convert sunflowers, I do not have soil or pots in hand either. Both paths are missing something, so there is nothing to decide yet. Today I go to the next station first. Resource station, maybe I get soil or peas. Monster station, I adapt. 8 o'clock hits, and the world flips like a switch. No gradual sunrise, just 1 second pitch black and the next second piercing sunlight punching through the mist overhead. The dense, terrifying crowd on the platform vanishes like pencil drawings erased in a single stroke, leaving only abandoned concrete. I mutter that the day-night transition is perfunctory, but my heart goes cold. A sunrise that ignores physics unsettles me more than the monsters last night, because it reminds me at every second that this is not Blue Star, just a game field being manipulated at will. I squint until my eyes adjust, then bypass the trading channel and head to the control panel. I press start. The whistle blares across the wasteland. I confirm the Withered Garden station as my destination, and the train leaves the abandoned station I called home for a full day. Wheels grind, white smoke rolls, the single carriage drags behind, and I settle on the bed under the window so the sunlight falls directly on me. The sunflower load ticks at 1 sun per 10 minutes. I finally open the long-awaited trading channel at leisure. The first thing waiting for me is the familiar restriction, daily posts remaining 5 of 5. Shared limit, just as I expected. The regional channel that used to be the place for warmth-sharing chatter is going to wither. Every future message turned utilitarian, because the limit is never enough. The trading channel itself is surprisingly quiet. The last message still from last night. A new tab sits on the left. My personal shop, Idaho and all. Shop level 1 at 0 of 100 experience. Current shelves 5 slots. So this is my little shop. I take an unopened pack of braised beef noodles from the pack, because without hot water it is awkward to eat anyway, and drag it into the first slot on the sell page. A red warning pops up the instant I try to set a price, telling me listing requires fuel or survival coin as a transfer channel fee, that I currently possess no survival coin, and asking if I want to consume 1 unit of fuel as the listing fee. My hand freezes midair. What a money grubber. In this stage where everyone is struggling to survive, you have to pay a listing fee to sell anything, and the fee is not low. 1 coal equals 1 hour of power. Survival coins only started dropping today, which means out of thousands of people in the region, likely nobody has any yet. No wonder the channel is so quiet. I cancel the listing. I have coal, but every piece has to push the train to a station. Burning fuel to list a pack of noodles is not worth it. Someone in the regional channel finally cracks and curses the system, complaining 1 coal to list shoes is robbery. Another tries to sell a stone and confirms the fee is fixed. Someone laughs about who would buy a stone. Someone asks if survival coins only drop from monsters. Someone else laments running out of fuel because they cannot list wood without paying a coal. Someone calls out the previous speaker for using too much coal, claiming the first station only cost them 3 coal to reach. I read the resentment with a clear head. The market is depressed because supply holders cannot afford the fee and the buyers cannot pay, and only when the first batch of explorers brings back survival coins will it become fluid. I close the channel and lie back. Save sunlight first, grab survival coins at the next station. I drag the bed under the window so the mattress takes full sun, pull the thin quilt over my stomach and shut my eyes. falling into half meditation rather than sleep. I map the next station's plan, scout the platform and waiting hall for resources and chests. The core goal: find soil, ideally enough for several more sunflowers. Avoid monsters if possible because killing them does not benefit much. And if I cannot avoid them, use the riot fork to consume them at range and prioritize weak points, because all I have is a vest, and 2 cold weapons and safety beats anything. The 3-hour journey is slow. Outside the window, an endless gravel wilderness, not a blade of grass, only the occasional dead tree standing twisted in the wind. I bask, I sun, I flip the channel between intervals, and I calculate. Fuel is scarce, listing fees are harsh. The game is forcing exploration. The next station's treasure chest is non-negotiable. The navigation pings me. Approaching station, Withered Garden small station. I spring up, walk to the driver's seat and press stop. A wall of white steam, the speed visibly drops. I grab the stab-proof vest off the headboard, zip it up. The metal sounds sharp in the silent carriage. Grip the riot fork, and move forward. The scene outside has changed. A dilapidated little platform at the end of the tracks, edges overgrown with weeds, and behind it, a small garden enclosed by an iron fence, tangled vines and lush greenery filling it. If the last station was a modern ruin, this place is an ancient manor swallowed by plants. The platform floor is broken bluestone slabs with dark green moss in the gaps. Withered garden, where exactly is the withered, but there should be usable soil here. My spirit lifts. I peer through the front windshield, even quieter than the last station, not even wind. In the garden I see a few figures, humanoid creatures in tattered gardener clothes, hands gripping rusty scissors or iron shovels, wandering in slow loops. The huge commotion of the train has no effect on them at all. As the train comes to a complete stop, one of the gardeners slowly turns and faces me. The moment I see its face, my pupils shrink and my breathing stops. The original features are buried under dense pea flowers, purple and white petals poking out of rotting skin in layers, stamens stained with sticky yellow sap that drips slowly. The petals tremble faintly, as if breathing or sniffing for the scent of a living person. Danger and opportunity coexist. The fertile black soil and the unknown resources in that garden hold a fatal temptation. I have to go down. The whistle's last echo dissipates over the wasteland as I glance at the console. 11 in the morning. Riot fork in one hand, shovel in the other. I leap from the front of the train and land on moss-covered bluestone. A scent of freshness laced with rot hits my nostrils and triggers a violent tickle in my sinuses. My expression breaks, and on instinct I clamp my hand over my nose, forcibly stifling a sneeze that would have alerted the entire station. A muffled, tuneless grunt escapes my throat, and I hold breath until tears stream. Several seconds later I recover, looking at the garden with cold fear of how close that was. If the sneeze had broken loose, game over. The soles of my shoes whisper against the slippery moss between slabs. I do not rush the garden. Cautious instinct tells me to carpet search the station first, because acting on impulse in an unknown environment is a recipe for disaster. The Withered Garden station is a size smaller than the Wilderness station. The iron railings along the platform edge are rusted into broken sections, dark yellow showing through. My gaze sweeps every corner and settles on a faded sign on a side door of the waiting hall. Police room. I push the door. The creak is harsh. Mold and rust hit me, and I freeze and listen, terrified of what the noise might have woken. Nothing moves. I exhale. The room is empty except for a peeling wooden table, an overturned chair, and a dusty treasure chest in the corner. I burn a spirit on the hint panel from 2 meters back. Gray material box, contents coal times 20 and survival coin times 10. 20 coal and 10 survival coins, my eyes light up. With survival coins, I will not have to burn precious coal on future trades. I stride over and flip the lid, and inside sit 20 pieces of pitch black coal in a neat stack, alongside silver white coins each engraved with a simplified train head. I pocket the survival coins, look at the coal pile, and think I really need a bag. 2 trips later, all 20 coal pieces are stacked safely in the carriage, and the little black pile sends a wave of security through me. I step off again to the main entrance of the waiting hall. The moment the door opens, a thick scent of rotting vegetation rolls out, stronger than the police room. Inside is much the same as the last station's hall, dilapidated tables and chairs, and thick dust. I sweep, confirm no other chests, and head for the back exit. Beyond it lies the small garden enclosed by iron railings, sunlight filtering through the vines and dappling the black soil below. Soil that looks soft and fertile and completely unlike the dead potting earth at the Wilderness station, and my heart burns. The next second I stop dead and my pupils shrink. 10 figures wander the garden in tattered gardener uniforms, some holding rusty scissors and others carrying shovels, heads slightly bowed and crowned with dense clusters of purple-white pea flowers. In the garden's center, atop a long-dried fountain, a treasure chest glows pale green, wrapped in several emerald vines whose tips swell with plump pea pods that sway as if breathing. So many. I swallow hard, my heart racing without restraint. 10 monsters plus a strange plant guarding the chest. Brute force would tear me to shreds even with the vest and the riot fork. I burn a spirit on the hint panel. Gardener Zombie, P Demon Vine Parasitic, Constitution 10, Nerve Reflex 3, Spirit 0, Weapon Gardener Scissors. Weakness Head and Fire. Note that these zombies are parasitized by a strange plant, and their entire faces are buried in blooming pea flowers. But the plant has also apparently absorbed the zombie virus. Next, the strange plant, another spirit gone, count down to 6 of 9 of 10. Target P Demon Vine, Constitution 5, Nerve Reflex 5, Spirit 5, Weapon Peapod, Ability 1 Peapod Explosion Power 1, Ability 2 Parasitize corpses to control them and protect itself. Weakness Fire. Note that its direct damage is not strong, but given enough corpses it can quickly build an army. I retreat into the hall's shadow, back already soaked with cold sweat. 10 zombies at Constitution 10 are too many even with slow reflexes, and the P-Demon Vine's ranged attacks make swarming me trivial. Once entangled and surrounded, I am done. I cannot take them head on, I have to use my wits. The old method, the table and chair fortress, lure them out one by one and pick them off. I scan the scattered furniture in the hall and my eyes harden. I crouch, grip a relatively intact wooden table by the legs, and start dragging it toward the garden entrance. The dry legs scrape the floor with a harsh creak, and in the silent hall it is deafening. I freeze, heart in my throat. The next second a synchronized roar erupts from the garden. 10 gardener zombies turning in unison, pea flower covered heads lifting as if their absent eyes have all locked onto the hall. Stiff but not slow, they take staggering steps and charge me as a wave. I do not bother with the fortress plan. I turn and sprint for the train. My nerve reflex of 8 kicks in and full sprint speed is astonishing, but the roar behind me closes fast, scissors and shovels scraping the ground in their fists. Faster, faster, I grit my teeth. 3 meters from the train, I throw myself sideways and slide through the door, backhand grip the handle, and pull hard. The iron door slams shut. Almost simultaneously, the first gardener zombie slams into it. The impact shutters the entire carriage and a small section of door plating dents inward. I lean back against the door, panting, cold sweat dripping onto the floor. I peer through the small window. 10 gardener zombies have surrounded the train, clawing the door and windows frantically, fingernails grinding the iron in a toothacheing screech. Every instinct says start the train and leave, but the soil in that garden is a hook I cannot pull free of. I grit my teeth and stay, gabbling that the zombies will lose interest because the train made enormous noise pulling in and they ignored it then. After about 10 minutes, the zombies slow, heads wobbling, target lost. They wander aimlessly on a platform before shuffling back to the garden and returning to their slow circling. I collapse onto the floor, limbs gone limp. That was too close. I underestimated their hearing and overestimated my luck. The table and chair plan died in the womb. I remember the impacts and pull up the carriage durability. 80 of 100. My heart sinks. 10 minutes of pounding cost 20 durability. A longer siege or stronger monsters would shred this carriage into scrap and erase my only sanctuary. Relying on the train's traits to wear them down does not work. I lean against the cold iron, brow furrowed. Do I really have to give up that green chest in the soil? I pull up the Plants vs. Zombies panel. Current sun 70, 30 short of leveling up. 1 sun per 10 minutes, more than 5 hours to wait. Anxiety is useless because even if I wanted to flee to a different station, I would have to wait until 8 at night for a search anyway, so I might as well save sun. I lean the riot fork against the door, lie on the single bed by the window, and adjust until the sunlight falls directly on me. Sunflower loaded, sun plus 1 per 10 minutes. With nothing better to do, I open the trading channel. Despair has thickened since morning. Someone is dying of thirst with no survival coins and begging for someone to buy their iron ingots so they can buy water. Someone calls the listing fee robbery and accuses the system of treating them like leeks to be harvested. Someone wants to buy spirit-restoring items because their talent is too expensive and their spirit is at rock bottom. I scroll quietly and type sunflower seeds, pea seeds, melon seeds into the search bar. All blank. These seeds are rare to begin with, and a handful would not even cover a listing fee. I curl my lip and close the search, secretly glad I still have 2 raw melon seeds. I switch to the regional channel. Some are running out of fuel. Some have been bitten, some weep that their talent is useless and they cannot protect themselves. Survivor count reads 8,453 of 10,000. Another few hundred gone. The second station is harder. I sigh, close the panel, and rest my eyes, occasionally peeking at the sun ticker. 75, 89, 99. Every tick is 10 minutes. My mind runs scenarios for after the level up. If I unlock the pea shooter, long-range fire handles the zombies cleanly. If I unlock some support plant, I convert more sunflowers first to snowball sun production. After an unknown amount of time, the notification chimes. Sun value plus 1, current sun 100. I snap my eyes open and check the console. 16:20 in the afternoon. From 11 until now, 5 hours and 20 minutes. I clench my fists, unable to suppress the rush. Enough. I roll out of bed, pull up the plant system panel, and stare at the upgrade button. Current level 1. Sun required for upgrade 100. Current sun 100. Unlocked plant sunflower. Loaded plant sunflower. What will the upgrade unlock? My heart races. I have played Plants vs. Zombies for years, and in the original, the first combat plant after the sunflower is always the pea shooter. Long-range attack. If I really unlock it, I can pick off the gardener zombies one by one from a safe distance, and maybe blast the pea demon vine to pieces. But what if? What if this modded system breaks the rules and unlocks some other support plant? Then the 100 sun is wasted. A war breaks out in my head. The cautious side says quit while ahead, no need to gamble, just keep building sun. The desire for long-range power screams that fortune favors the bold, and missing the first green chest could mean missing transcendent power. I think about the security guard zombie, the rabies-carrying wild dog, the gardener zombies that almost shredded me. In a cruel survival world, caution is good, but blind caution misses opportunities. I slam my fist down and decide to gamble. I take a deep breath and think upgrade system. The prompt asks whether to consume 100 sun to upgrade the Plants vs. Zombies system to level 2. I confirm. The sun on the panel drops to 0. A warm current floods from my mind through my whole body. The green light on the panel grows so bright it almost pierces my retinas. The system congratulates the host on a successful upgrade to level 2. Spirit maximum +1. New plant unlocked pea shooter. Current sun 0. The corners of my mouth lift on their own. I won the gamble. I really did unlock the pea shooter. Even with no sun to convert seeds, I can still load the plant. I open the pea shooter panel. Seed conversion costs 100 sun for 1 raw pea. Health 10. Planting condition 500 grams of ordinary soil. Planting consumption 500 milliliters of water and 1 pea shooter seed. Growth time 1 hour. Attack power 5. Attack interval 1 second. Attack method automatic against hostile targets in range or any target I designate. Range 100 meters. Magazine 20 rounds. Magazine refill cost 1 sun per round. Loading spirit consumption 2. I am ready to switch the loaded plant to the pea shooter when the magazine refill cost catches my eye. I scratch my head. Not infinite ammo like the game. Another hour of sunbathing should bank enough sun to use it. I walk to the window and look at the gardener zombies wandering the garden. A glint of vengeance in my eye. Just wait. Soon your good days are over. A crisp notification chimes in my head, telling me my sun value has ticked up by 1 and now sits at 6. I open my eyes and glance at the console. The time is 20 past 5 in the afternoon, and after a full hour of basking, 6 points is enough to reload my magazine 6 times over. I rub my hands together and pull up the Plan Zombie System panel with a thought. Enough to do real damage now. The panel asks whether I want to remove my loaded sunflower and load the pea shooter instead, warning that the swap will occupy 2 points of my spirit limit. I confirm without hesitating. 2 prompts flash by, and my mind goes lighter than sore in the same heartbeat. A strange give and take I am still learning to read. My personal spirit panel updates and tells me I have 4 out of 9 out of 11 now. 2 points sunk into the new loadout. The pea shooter activates with another thought, and a pale green crosshair blooms in the periphery of my right eye. A phantom sight overlaid on the carriage. I touch my right arm and feel the surge of energy crawling through the muscles, and the system reports the pea shooter is loaded. Magazine 20 out of 20. Range 100 meters. Attack power 5. The hunt begins. I grab the riot fork, ease the carriage door open, and slip out into the quiet entrance of the small garden. 10 gardener zombies are still wandering in slow loops, dragging their iron shovels and shears across the pavement. I crouch behind the corner of the waiting hall wall, line my crosshair on the one closest to me, and lock onto the pea flower at the back of its skull. The thing is facing away from me, dragging its shovel with a dull grating sound, completely oblivious. I hold my breath and squeeze. A faint hiss cuts the air, and a bright green pea drills straight into the gap at the center of the pea flower. The zombie freezes for half a second, then its head bursts like a smashed watermelon, purple-white petals splattering with black-red fluid. The body sways once and dissolves into a fountain of black light. Nice, I whisper to myself. Then the rest of them snap around in unison, petals trembling as they lock onto my position and stumble toward me with hoarse roars. Time to run. I sprint back to the train but skip the carriage this time and head straight for the locomotive. The carriage durability is only 80 out of 100, the locomotive a far more generous 300. I scramble up, lock the door behind me, and shove open the window beside the driver's seat. Come on, you grandkids, I mutter, and my voice carries a hoarse little edge of excitement I do not quite recognize as my own. I lean half out the window, my crosshair flicking from charging zombie to charging zombie, peas drilling into skulls one after another in clean 3-round bursts. They cannot even reach the edge of the locomotive before they go down. The magazine empties. I tell the system to reload. My sun value drops by 1, and the magazine refills to 20. After another wild burst, the last 9 gardener zombies are scattered across the platform as iron shovels and shears. And I check my reserves. 5 points of sun value left. I reload again. That leaves 4 points for whatever comes next. Now it is the pea demon vine's turn. It is wrapped around a green treasure chest at the center of the fountain, pea pods swaying at the top of its vines, already feeling me out. From my earlier hint panel scan, I remember the thing can fire its pea pods in one direction. Attack power only 1 but area of effect. and who knows whether it laces them with poison. Better safe than sorry. I jump off the locomotive and head straight for the police room. The wooden door is intact. I wedge the riot fork against the frame and pry hard, and the door comes down with a thud and a cloud of dust. Dragging the door panel across the platform like a riot shield, I cross to the garden entrance and stand it upright in front of me, exposing only my right eye and the crosshair. The vine's main stem is the thickest part, the easiest thing to keep a sight on, so that is where I aim. Bright green peas hammer into the vine one after another, and the pea pods at the top swell from bright green to a deep poisonous green, an unmistakable warning aura blooming around them. Oh no, it is going to blow, I think, and I pull back behind the panel just as the air explodes into a dense pattering of pea bullets the size of pebbles. They hammer the door panel with dull thuds and rattle off the concrete behind me. The panel shakes, and I lean my weight into it, secretly congratulating myself on being clever enough to grab a shield before this part of the fight. Without it, I would be a sieve right now. The pattering stops. I poke my head out, fire another burst, and pull back as the vine retaliates. We dance this same dance over and over, my sun value bleeding out 1 point at a time as I reload again and again, until on the 31st pea the shot lands in the vine's core, and that arrogant tangle finally stops thrashing. Its bright green fades, the whole mass collapsing into a heap of withered, rotting grass. I let out a long breath, slump behind the door panel, and let the system prompt wash over me. Done. I cross the fountain and flip open the green treasure chest. 3 items lie inside, and the system tells me I have obtained 1 copy of Primary Combat Mastery, 1 Primary Spirit Recovery Potion, and 100 survival coins. My eyes light up at the skill book because my body is sound, but I have never thrown a real punch in my life, and a spirit potion is genuinely the kind of thing that saves a life in a corner. The 100 survival coins is no small fortune at this stage of the game either. Plenty to chase down plant seeds with later. Combat mastery layered onto the ability to fire peas from my fingertips is practically gun fu. I tuck the potion away and sweep the garden one more time. Once I am sure there are no hidden surprises, I crouch and pinch a handful of the soft black soil under my feet. Fertile, dark, exactly what I need. There is finally somewhere to plant the sunflower. Time to switch back. I pull up the panel, remove the pea shooter, and reload the sunflower, the system noting that sun value rises by 1. My spirit panel updates to 3 out of 10 out of 11, the limit climbing because the pea shooter loadout has been put back in its slot. I nod at the numbers, pack up my spoils, and head for the train. 2 steps later, something glints in the corner of my eye, and I look down. Among the withered vines, a dozen smooth, bright green spheres lie scattered, faintly fragrant with the smell of fresh plant. My breath catches. I crouch, pick one up with a trembling hand, and the shape and color hit me like a slap. A pea seed. The system confirms it in the same instant, asking whether I want to consume 100 sun value to convert this pea seed into a pea shooter seed. 100 points. My mouth twitches and I check my sunlight panel. Current sunlight, 3. That is, as my professors used to say, a sizable delta. I tuck the seed into an inner pocket and dig through the withered vines until I have rooted out 15 of them in total. I am rich, I tell myself, gripping the pocket like a man who has just won the lottery. Once I save up enough sunlight, I will mass-produce pea shooters, and then let any garden monster on this map try me. I shoulder the door panel and walk briskly back to the train, dropping the panel against a corner of the waiting hall on my way through. The thing might come in handy again. Up the steps, lock the carriage, long sigh, and the soreness I have been holding off all afternoon comes flooding in. I collapse onto the single bed, sip warm water to soothe my throat, and only then remember I never checked the trading channel today. Perfect time to look. The channel is livelier than it was this morning, the circulation of survival coins giving the market a kind of crooked vitality. Every sales post is shadowed by complaints about the listing fee. 1 coin just to post, with everyone who has not opened a treasure chest griping that they cannot even sell anything in the first place. I scroll through the offers and demands. Compressed biscuits at 3 coins a pack, purified water in 596 milliliter bottles at 2 coins each, iron ingots cheap for water, a homemade wooden spear at 3 coins, spirit restoring potion wanted at 25. Nothing surprising until one inconspicuous line stops me cold. A pure wooden wheelbarrow, 10 survival coins, handcrafted 50 kilogram load capacity, lightweight and durable. My eyes light up. I think of the fertile black soil and the way my arms ached after 2 handfuls of digging by hand, and I do the math. With a wheelbarrow, my hauling efficiency goes up 10-fold. The price stings though. 10 coins is my entire fortune, scraped together from the gray treasure chest. And after the buy, I will have nothing but the new 100-coin haul still warm in my pocket. Too expensive, my instincts whisper, but this is the pioneering stage. Time is life, stamina is capital, and a wheelbarrow means a few more soil runs before dark, which means a sunflower planted a day sooner, which means my sun value snowball starts a day earlier. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I grit my teeth and tap buy. 10 coins drain from my pocket and a wood-colored wheelbarrow appears in the corner of the carriage. Frame polished, smooth, solid wooden wheel. The real article. I push it once, find it light, and the regret melts off my chest. Worth it. Purely handcrafted too. Either some survivor drew a manufacturing-type talent or a carpenter scooped up tools early, but the production class is clearly starting to stand out. The console reads 50 past 5, 2 hours until dark, no time to eat. I gulp water, button my anti-stab vest, push the cart down the steps, and pick up the shovel. The afterglow of the setting sun pools on the black soil with an oily luster. Coming from an agriculture program, I happen to be exceptionally good at digging, and I drive the shovel in at an angle and pry up huge chunks with barely any effort. Trip after trip, cart after cart, soil heaped against the carriage wall and then carted in. Sweat plasters my shirt to my back. My arms shake, my waist and abdomen throb, but I keep going. Only one thought in my head: haul more, then haul more. The sky slides from gold to orange-red to deep purple. The pile inside the carriage stops being a mound and turns into a small hill that rises to my waist. I push in the last load, glance at the console, 10 minutes to 2000, and the fog will be here. No more digging. I drop the shovel, collapse on the floor, and pant, chest heaving, throat dry enough to feel as if it is smoking, bones genuinely arguing about their continued employment. After a full 5 minutes, I finally come back to myself. Sip water, tear into a compressed biscuit, and chew slowly. The dryness is not great, but right now it tastes sweet. Halfway through the biscuit, the sky outside the carriage flips. No transition. 1 second sunset, the next a pitch black wall where I cannot see my own fingers. Only the faint moonlight filtering through the glass. The system tells me the fog has descended. From 2000 to 8 in the morning. Do not leave the carriage. The cold notification settles into the silence. I lean against the soil pile, biscuit in hand, and open the chat channel. The regional channel's head count has dropped again. The survivor count showing 8,309 out of 10,000. In a few hours, another 100+ people are gone. And yet the channel is twice as lively as it was at noon. Someone is yelling that they almost got caught by a monster in the fog. Someone is asking how to get more chat attempts, and another voice answers that you buy them with survival coins. One message for 1 coin, the system practically robbing them. The chorus of curses is fluent and creative. I scroll and type the word seed into the search box. Nothing. Still no plant seeds on the market in the short term. I close the panel and start taking stock of the day. 20 units of coal from the gray treasure chest, plus what I had, leaves me well stocked on fuel. 100 survival coins, even after the wheelbarrow purchase, since I opened another 100 from the green chest. Combat mastery, the spirit potion, and the soil. I eye the pile, 2 cubic meters easy, which at roughly 1.5 tons per cubic meter is around 3 tons of soil. Enough to plant hundreds of sunflowers, I tell myself, mouth curling up. For a long while now I will not have to worry about soil. The priority is to plant the sunflowers and kick the sun value snowball into the fast lane. I remember the train's search station function should be off cooldown by now. Walk to the cab, and the gray button has indeed gone green. I press it. The boiler rumbles, the train body vibrates, and the carriage lighting clicks on automatically. The lights, again, I think. Then I remember the same thing happened last time. Search station mode turns the train into a lantern. I check the windows. Zombies are still milling all over the platform, but even with the carriage lit up like a stage, they act as if they cannot see it. Some kind of search mode invisibility built into the system, evidently. Back to the soil. I dig out the 5 flower pots I salvaged from the wilderness station, dump the dead soil and fill them with fresh black earth from the pile. The fertility comes off the soil as a faint raw scent, exactly what a real seed wants. I press the magically modified sunflower seed into the soil and water it with 500 milliliters of purified water. My agriculture brain wants to give it less, because seeds do not need much moisture to germinate and root rot is a real threat, but the system does not react. I add more. Still nothing. Only when the entire 500 milliliters is gone does the green chime announce that the sunflower has been planted. Growth time 1 hour. System rules, I sigh. You absolutely cannot play them by common sense. I look at the soil and can almost see the sunflower already. A lush green stem swaying toward the sun. Only 1 seed for now, I plan out loud to no one. And tomorrow I will convert the remaining 2 raw pumpkin seeds while the train is moving. 3 sunflowers, 3 points of sunlight every 10 minutes. As the sun value climbs, I convert more, plant more, and the snowball will be rolling. The more I think, the more excited my eyes get. I can already see a carriage full of sunflowers, my sunbar skyrocketing, pea shooters and snow peas and cob cannons all eventually within reach. The plants from the games becoming my real, terrifying source of confidence in this survival world. Outside the window the fog churns, the occasional monster roar drifting through the dark. Inside the carriage I am not afraid anymore, then my smile collapses on its own. I have not bathed in 2 days, and after 2 hours of heavy labor hauling soil the smell on me is becoming a separate organism. If only a shower and a clean change of clothes were on the menu somewhere down this line. Night deepens. I lean against the bed and stare at the flower pot where the sunflower seed is buried, sipping water to recover. My gaze drifts to the thin skill book from the green treasure chest, the one labeled Basic Combat Mastery. The pages feel like warm jade, neither paper nor wood, faintly glowing white. I try to flip it like a book and the pages will not budge. On a hunch from too many web novels, I press the book against my forehead. The instant it touches me, the book dissolves into soft white light and pours into the space between my brows. A vast, refined torrent of information floods my mind. How to drive whole-body power from the waist and abdomen. How to turn sideways to deflect and block. How to use the simplest, most efficient movements to strike vital joints. It is not rote theory, it lands like an instinct I was born with. A decade of practice planted overnight. Every muscle and nerve remembers. I stand up sharply, the day's exhaustion suddenly diluted, sink my weight and throw a few sharp straight punches at the air. The wind from my fists has a concentrated power and an inch force in the snap that I have never owned before. I can feel the chain, soles to legs to waist to back, twisting into one rope of force that explodes from the knuckles. Worlds away from the brute swinging I would have done yesterday. This feeling, I mutter, and try a few kicks. Fluid and swift. If I combine this with the ability to fire peas from my fingertips, a bold, clear concept clicks into place. Gun kata. Use combat technique to dodge and angle, deliver lethal pea bursts at close range. My close quarters ceiling just jumped a level. A chime cuts the thought, the system telling me the magic-modified sunflower has matured. So fast, I think, hurrying to the flower pot. In the moist black soil, a spirited sunflower has already broken through. 1/2 meter tall, 2 emerald palm-wide leaves spread out, the disc of its face wearing closed eyes and peaceful sleep, and a small upturned satisfied mouth. It brings a thick living warmth to the cold dead air of the carriage. I check the sunlight panel. 15, unchanged. Right, it is night. The sunflower is sleeping and cannot produce sun yet. A small twinge of regret, swallowed by fiercer anticipation. This is the first snowflake of the avalanche. The sunlight snowball is fully provisioned. All it needs is dawn. A soft beep from the navigation system. The next station information has updated and it reads Plainstown Station with the suffix event in parentheses. An event station, I think, stunned. The first time I have seen a special suffix on a station name. A mission, or a new way to gouge me, and given the system's money-grubbing instincts, the latter feels more likely. I opened the chat channel to see whether I am the only one who got it. The regional channel has detonated. Message refresh is more than 10 times faster than during the day. Everyone is yelling about Plainstown Station with the same event tag, asking whether the whole region is finally being funneled to one place, talking about how they will get to see living people again, hawking team-ups, healers offering to treat injuries and basic poisoning, would-be carriers asking for big shots to bring them along. Half the channel convinced it is a group boss raid with bountiful rewards. I read it all and feel less excited than wary, bringing every survivor in the region together at one station. What does the survival game actually want here? A screening? A test? Or just an arena to watch us kill each other? Where there are many people, there is much trouble. That is a universal truth in any world. Right then, a Crimson System announcement steamrolls everyone's screens. Blood-red font with a cold authority, and the channel goes silent in a heartbeat. The system says it is upgrading the chat system tomorrow at 8 in the morning. All messages will display the individual's ID number by default. Players can spend 1 survival coin per message to selectively display their personal name when speaking. Players can spend 10 survival coins for a one-time chance to modify their nickname, with a note that anyone can still view the speaker's original ID by clicking on the nickname. After the Plainstown Station event ends, grouping in station multiplayer mode will be officially unlocked. Rules to follow. After a brief silence, the channel explodes again, this time with pure speechlessness. Someone is not at all surprised that displaying a name costs money. Someone else says this familiar stingy smell is the proof it really is the system. 10 coins to change a name, says another. You could buy 2 compressed biscuits. The next person counters, with what if there is a true name curse later? Someone groans that this money will have to be spent eventually. I do not know whether to laugh or cry. The survival game really does want to dig coins out of every pocket, with a sniper's read on the small intricacies of human nature. But there is more to this upgrade than fees. Forcing ID display ends the era of total anonymity. Every line you say, every transaction you close, is on the books. They are laying down an identity and traceability system before multiplayer mode goes live. While I still have my anonymity, I throw a question into the channel, asking whether anyone knows the actual content of the event, because the officials have not given a single hint. A wave of same question and who knows answers comes back. Everyone is in the dark and we will all be taking it one step at a time. I browse a while longer, find nothing else useful, and close the panel. It is late. I tidy up, lie back on the simple but comfortable bed, and let the tension of the day slow off in a long ache. Before sleep, I catch a whiff of myself, sweat and dirt and the faintest hint of blood, and I sigh and frown. I hope Plainstown has somewhere to shower. With that humble wish, I am out. Pitch black still outside the window when I wake. My biological clock has me up at 7 on the dot. Ugh, time to get up. Need to water the corn, I mumble half asleep, then snap awake and laugh at myself. It has only been a few days and the old life feels like it was someone else's. Outside the carriage, the night is still solid, the distant mist coughing up occasional roars. In the channel, a few night owls are chatting nonsense. I ignore them, roll out of bed, and clear the quilts to one side. Then I walk to the corner and, like a man carrying a relic, lift the sunflower pot to the bed and set it against the cold window glass. Partner, today we soak up the sun together, I tell it, voice softer than I expect. When we have more sunlight, I will line up a few more buddies for you in a row. It will look grand. The sunflower keeps its cute eyes closed like a sleepy child. Sunflowers sleep at night, the game taught me. So I sit cross-legged on the other side of the bed and wait for dawn. 8 in the morning, on the dot. The day-night switch arrives on schedule. Dark to blinding sunlight in a single beat. The light slicing the mist and flooding every corner of the train. 2 notifications chime in succession. Sun value up by 1, then again. I check the cheap panel. 17. Only 3 more and I can plant another, I think. Mood lifting through the floor of the morning. I stretch. The spine pops in a row. Walk to the cab. Press the start button. Click confirm on Plainstown Station. Let us go. A long, loud whistle rolls across the wilderness. The boiler roars. The chassis vibrates. 1 man and 1 flower, carrying infinite hopes, ride steadily toward the unknown station where thousands of survivors will gather. A new challenge is about to begin. The train departs at 8 on the dot and starts decelerating into the station at 11 on the dot. I spend those 3 hours like a hardworking old farmer pouring heart and soul into my 1/3 of an acre. By the time the train stops, 3 sunflower pots are neatly arranged in the corner, every one of them spreading vibrant green leaves full of vitality. Sun value sits at 24 and is climbing at 4 points every 10 minutes. The cost is 5 bottles of water and 1 pack of compressed biscuits, 2 bottles for irrigating the new sunflowers, breakfast at the usual rate of 1 bottle and 1 biscuit, and the remaining 2 poured into my portable canteen, since a canteen is sturdier than plastic and even doubles as a small meteor hammer. Overall, a highly profitable deal. In the breaks between farming, I watch the regional channel. The closer we get, the more fanatical the room becomes. One survivor at handle 9996. 0307 is recruiting for Plainstown teams, advertising basic charge talent, strength type, looking for reliable teammates to make a fortune together. A handle called Red Rose announces the Rose Guild is recruiting women only, no talent restrictions, with a battle cry about huddling together for warmth so the stinking men cannot bully them. Another, Lee Yoonbi, is celebrating finally being able to see living people, asking who wants to share a drink later because he still has half a bottle of soju on hand. I can feel a long-suppressed energy ready to detonate at Plainstown. Anticipation, yes, and an involuntary touch of vigilance. Where there are many people, there is much trouble. An eternal truth. The system announces we are approaching Plainstown Station and tells me to be prepared. I stand, check my equipment one last time, and look out the window. When the station finally rises on the horizon, magnificent enough that it does not look like a human creation, I am stunned despite the warm-up. The whole thing is a behemoth of steel and brass, that distinctive, rugged but precise aesthetic of steampunk. Massive pipes coil along the station's surface like giant pythons and intermittently sigh out white steam with dull hissing sounds. The whole station feels like a single supergiant machine in motion, and looking at it makes me feel like a speck. The train comes to a steady stop at an elevated platform. On this level alone, I count 5 tracks side by side, and there are more platform levels stacked above and below, layered like a steel honeycomb. What a grand scale, I mutter, pushing open the heavy carriage door. The corridor outside smells of coal, machine oil, and metal. I climb the platform stairs, pass a corridor whose walls are crusted with pressure gauges and pipework, and the view opens up. In that instant, a wall of human noise hits me like a dam breaking and submerges every thought I had. I stand in the corridor mouth and stare. The waiting hall is absurdly vast, the vaulted ceiling impossibly high, brass chandeliers and slowly rotating fans hanging overhead. The place lit bright as midday, but it is the people that flatten me. A sea of heads shoulder to shoulder. Thousands at a glance. Every one of them is wearing identical initial black sportswear, like the world's largest cult gathering, the visual uniformity carrying its own kind of strangeness. And every face has the same black hair and black eyes I have, all of them speaking the Korean I grew up with. For a moment I have a ridiculous illusion that this is not a survival game at all but a high-speed rail concourse on a holiday weekend back on Blue Star. The sudden warmth of having people around loosens nerves I have kept taut for days. Less than 3 seconds in I cut it off. My gaze sharpens. This is not Blue Star. There are no laws here, no police. The people in front of me are my compatriots, but every one of them could turn into a beast for a bottle of water or a piece of bread. The brief warmth cools fast and is replaced by absolute calm and vigilance. I melt into the crowd as a pure observer and start to read the Shura field in front of me. The hall is practically a real-life ukiyo-e of the apocalypse. I have not walked far when I see a tall, bald, burly man standing on a suitcase, waving his arms and bellowing a sermon to the people around him. Spit flying. He calls himself Joe Cheol-woo and announces he has basic strength enhancement talent, that he's not afraid to die, that he is willing to be the leading big brother, and guarantees they will grab the biggest benefits in the event if they follow him. A few confused-looking young men join the cheer for him. Most people stand with arms crossed, watching him with cold sneers and the patient pity reserved for fools. I take him in once and look away. Show-offs are either truly capable or the kind of idiot that dies first. The latter looks far more likely here. I drift further and get pulled toward another commotion. In a slightly more open space, a handsome young man with a rebellious aura is the center of a crowd 10 deep. He extends his right palm, and with a soft poof an orange-red flame ignites in it from nothing, drawing exclamations all around. He smiles and explains he has fireball technique, basic level, but the power and range outclass any physical enhancement talent. He is forming a squad called Blaze. Only the strong. Healing, defense, scouting talents get priority. Useless trash should not waste his time. A man as thin as a monkey forces his way to the front and shouts that his talent is acute sense of smell, that he can smell monsters, top-tier scouting support. Another shouts his talent is rapid bandaging, can stop bleeding but cannot heal wounds. The young man, lightheaded on flattery, starts interviewing applicants from above. The chosen are ecstatic, the rejected jealous. I shake my head. These people have turned a survival game into a corporate recruitment session. Not everything in the hall is calculation. A man slaps another on the shoulder. Both of them grown adults named only as Old Wang and Little Lee in the Spill of Joy. Both convinced the other died on the first night. Both hugging tight enough that their eyes turn red. Something stirs in me at the reunion. The complex side of human nature on display. The diametrically opposite reunion pulls me back to cold reality right after. A voice thick with hatred calls a man a dog, and I look over to see two men glaring. One of them clutching a sharpened wooden stick. The stick holder tells the well-dressed one to keep his mouth clean, because when he was working under him before he was never this impolite. The well-dressed one, livid, says nothing. The stick holder spits that they are not on Blue Star anymore, that he only put up with him because of a mortgage, and threatens to kill him if he keeps running his mouth. The other's gaze goes terrifyingly sinister. The air between them freezes. The people around back off and clear a ring with the relish of spectators, and I circle around it without staying. In 10 minutes I have seen every shape of human nature. Ambitious would-be leaders, opportunists showing off, ordinary people scrambling to live, the lucky reuniting after disaster, and mortal enemies. Plainstown is a condensed social experiment. I cross the chaos to the center of the hall, where three named non-player characters are performing their respective duties. Mayor Edwin has finished his speech and is now holding a teacup, watching this rabble with the composed air of a man scrutinizing a batch of consumables headed for the front. Quartermaster Lilith yawns lazily, dealing with anyone who asks for prices, not even lifting an eyelid for the time wasters. My target is clear, and I walk straight to Defense Captain Victor. The large sign beside him reads Registration Office, with smaller text saying 5 people jointly defend a section of wall, randomly matched if there are not enough. Defending the wall, I think. Mostly cold weapon melee combat at this stage. Casualty rate may not be low, but if the survival game has trained me on anything, it is that it does not usually swing this brutal this fast. Too many survivors must have lived through too long. Registering. I tell Victor, terse. Team or individual, he asks without looking up, writing in a massive register. Individual, I say. Are you sure? He answers, looking up for once. Individual matching. Your teammates are pure luck. Sure, I say. No hesitation. He shrugs, hands me a metal tag stamped 106, tells me it is my wall section and my voucher to the wall. No replacement if lost. After everything I just watched in the hall, I am even more sure. Forming my own team, human hearts are separated by skin, and you have no idea whether your pick is a person or a ghost. Joining someone else's team, you either work like an ox or get used as a pawn. Better to leave it to ethereal luck than hand my fate to a stranger. Holding the cold tag, I do not rush to the waiting area. I work through the crowd to a corner and find a spot with my back against a massive brass pillar. Wide field of view, close enough to overhear several nearby groups. Like a stone dropped into a lake, I settle quietly to the bottom and watch the ripples. Some real, some performed. I am telling you, someone in one group says, a buddy of mine has prophecy talent, not much combat power, but he predicted that the most cost-effective item in the event point exchange is the exoskeleton armor design blueprint. For real, asks another. Of course, he answers. Monsters will definitely attack the train later. It has to be a battle of positions. Defense is king. On another side, they argue weapons. Someone guessing old-fashioned bolt-action rifles. Someone else insisting submachine guns because spraying down a horde is the only thing that feels right. I file every line into memory without judging its truth, and screen it later. My calm reads is out of place in the fanatical room and starts pulling attention. A shrewd, tall, thin man comes over with a familiar smile and asks if I am alone, calling me steady and likely an expert, telling me his squad is short one person and his captain has skin-hardening talent, so I would feel incredibly safe behind him. I do not lift my eyelids. I tell him I have already signed up. He takes the cue and walks off tactfully. Over the next hour, 3 or 4 more groups approach, some polite, some carrying a patronizing arrogance. I decline all of them with the same excuse. I know perfectly well that even teams with real combat power are mostly stitched together by suspicion, and the second danger lands, they will scatter like startled monkeys. A stab in the back is not even surprising. An hour later, the passages from the hall to the various platforms close with bursts of heavy mechanical noise. Massive steel gates seal the interior from the outside. The waiting hall is now a giant enclosed cage. Guard Captain Victor, sitting in his chair with eyes closed, stands abruptly, picks up an old-fashioned tin megaphone, and roars. Silence. Registration time is over. Anyone who did not sign up is on their own. Guards from the town will lead recruits to the city walls. Specific tasks arranged on site. Anyone who tries tricks, he says, gets his head twisted off first. The gruff authority instantly suppresses the hall. He tosses the megaphone onto the table and walks out a side door with Mayor Edwin and Quartermaster Lilith. Squads of guards in uniform, leather armor, and carrying steam rifles march in expressionless and take charge of order. A guard captain unrolls a large parchment and bellows numbers. Number 1. 5 people. Step out. Follow me. Number 2. Hurry up. What are you dawdling for? Those whose numbers are called scramble through the crowd toward their assigned passages. Complaints rise everywhere about it being like waiting at the bank, about the guard's attitude until someone hisses to shut up because they have guns. I tune it all out and wait. Eventually he calls 106. I stand up, brush dust off my pants, and walk over first. 4 others follow. First is a plain, slightly chubby woman with a haughty expression, looking at everyone like trash. When I glance back, she shoots me a vicious glare for no reason I can identify. Hostility so clean it is almost a label. I frown faintly, a faint sense of foreboding ticking up. Second is a slim, fair-skinned girl with short hair who keeps her head down, bangs covering most of her face, clutching a baseball bat and walking as close to the wall as she can. The social anxiety on her radiates, "Do not look at me, do not talk to me." Third is a college student in glasses, looking bright and cheerful, who flashes a friendly smile at me in a clear attempt to diffuse the bizarre tension. The last to walk over snaps a lot of male eyes wide open, a woman with a figure that breaks rules. The black sportswear failing to hide exaggerated curves, long wine-red wavy hair draped over her shoulders, a face like it was carved from eternal ice, and a gaze cold as a blade. 5 styles thrown together by luck. The guard leads us through a long corridor and up a section of the towering wall. "You 5 hold this section," he says, pointing at the 100-meter stretch ahead and the 5 independent machine gun platforms distributed evenly across it. "Pick positions. The event is about to start." I do not hesitate a second and walk to the leftmost gun. The chubby woman seems to want to spite me on purpose, follows, and chooses the one to my right, with her back against the ladder, glaring at me again. The socially anxious girl chooses the middle. The cheerful college student picks the 4th and introduces himself as Jang Suman. The icy beauty naturally takes the rightmost, facing me at distance. "Since we will be fighting together," Suman says, trying to liven the air, "let us introduce ourselves." He goes first. Names himself Jang Suman. "Sophomore, please look after him." The anxious girl says her name is Lee Jung, voice a mosquito buzz. When it is the chubby woman's turn, she crosses her arms, leans on the gun, rolls her eyes, and announces herself as Socionie, before launching into a wall of complaints. That the wall is high and windy with nowhere to sit. That the gun looks clunky and will make her hands go numb from recoil. That this event is a waste of her time. Suman's smile stiffens. I do not want to waste words and say simply that they can call me Gang. Finally, everyone looks at the icy beauty on the far right. She glances over with indifference and gives them one word. Seol. With the battle imminent, our makeshift team's atmosphere has dropped to freezing point. Tisk, one mute, one acting all deep. So Sionio starts muttering. "Shut up," the guard barks suddenly, cutting her off and telling her if she does not want to hear the rules, she can get down. She shrinks her neck, mutters "so mean," and shoots Suman a vicious glare as if he were to blame for her getting yelled at. The guard clears his throat and runs through the rules without emotion. "Listen up, rookies," said only once. "The 5 of us are a squad responsible for the 100-meter stretch beneath our feet. Each gets one Guardian-type heavy machine gun." He gestures lazily at the gun next to Jung, who flinches like a startled rabbit. The guard clicks his tongue impatiently and continues. "The guns fire energy bullets powered directly by Plainstown, so ammunition is infinite. But each one has an overheat bar, the red slot on the gun body. Continuous firing raises it. Full means a 10-second forced cooldown. Smart shooters tap fire and barely move the bar. Initial bullets have a power of 5 each, rate of fire 4 rounds per second. That is enough. Most importantly, he points to an inconspicuous slot on the side. This is the evolution slot. Killing monsters accumulates energy. When the slot is full, the gun glows blue and 3 enhancement options appear in front of you. Pick one. The combinations are your business. You earn points per zombie killed, 40% split equally among the squad, and 60% distributed by damage ratio. After the defense ends, you trade points for rewards. One rule you remember, he warns, voice turning hard. Wall durability for the 5 of you is shared. See that durability bar. It is the life or death of your section. Monsters attack the wall, it drops. If it falls to half, the alarm sounds and our guard force takes over your defense line by force. At that point, all 5 of you are judged as having failed the operation and are kicked straight off the battlefield. Understand. Without waiting for an answer, he gives us one last warning look and walks off. He is barely gone when Socionio turns her spear on Suman again, snarling that it is his fault for starting introductions. Look, the guard scolded them. I bet you are happy now. He starts to push back and she goes louder, voice climbing, words souring, slipping into outright insults. Suman is still a hot-blooded young student, takes a full minute of being cursed to his face going red, then green, then white, and finally explodes. Are you done yet? Half a step from a fight. At exactly that moment, a piercing alarm tears across the entirety of Plainstown. The battle has begun. His movements freeze. He only now realizes that at some point, Lee Jung and Seol and I have already climbed onto our platforms, hands on the cold killing machines, learning their feel. On the entire wall, only he and Socionio are still infighting over nothing. He looks past the wall on instinct, and his pupils contract. On the distant horizon, a writhing black tide is spreading slowly but resolutely toward us. Look closer. It is not a tide at all. It is countless zombies. The piercing alarm sears itself into everyone's nerves like a red-hot iron, and the ridiculous farce between Jang Suman and Socionio is cut short by the warhorn in the same breath. I do not turn around to look at them. I cannot afford to spend a sliver of emotion on infighting this stupid. While the guard was reading the rules and Socionio was complaining, I used those precious few minutes to set my hands on the cold control levers of the Guardian-type heavy machine gun and learn the feel of this killing machine. Every joint, every spring. Now that the alarm sounds, I am the first to react. My eyes peer through the holographic sight at the black tide constantly approaching. My breath levels long and slow, the whole mind slipping into a state of absolute calm. Ever since my spirit broke through the 10-point mark, a strange sensation has been following me, and I have started calling it spirit locking. When I focus my spirit and aim through the sight, my consciousness seems to detach from my body, turn into an invisible tentacle that extends outward, and wrap around the target like a tagged net. The feel is exactly like a shooting game with a top-tier aimbot. Back at the garden station, this is what let me drop the gardener zombies with pea-shooter peas. Combined with the killing machine in front of me right now, the power explodes exponentially. The moment the zombie tide's vanguard steps into the gun's effective range, I pull the trigger. No panic, no novice spray. I keep a rhythmic cadence and shoot precise 3-round bursts. 3 pale blue energy lights leap from the muzzle, cross hundreds of meters in a blink, and converge on the zombie at the very front. The first round tears through the shoulder, the kinetic energy stalling the running momentum dead. The second drills the chest, blowing a fist-sized hole. The third hits the skull without suspense, and the rotting head explodes like a watermelon swung with a hammer, mush mixed with black blood and bone. The cold notification chimes that I have killed an ordinary zombie. Points up by 1, evolution bar up by 1%. Does the first level require 100? I wonder, my hand never pausing. I have turned into a tireless precision instrument. Every brief pause a moment of relocking onto the next target. Every 3-round burst lifting one more live, or rather, not so live, life from the field. Under that precise control, the overheat bar on my gun barely moves. At the far end of the 100-meter wall, the icy queen who calls herself Seol is putting up an equally professional standard. Her style is the opposite of mine. No bursts. She uses extremely restrained short sprays, each one under a second, the muzzle spitting 4 to 5 bullets to form a small barrage of death. Her single-point accuracy may be a notch below mine, but her judgment for leading the target and her control of bullet spread are masterful. She picks the densest pocket in the tide every time and sprays a precise barrage over it, and every sweep drops a small handful in a clear arc. Efficiency is in no way inferior to my precision bursts. I am on the left, Seol on the right. The two of us are the stabilizing pillars nailed to this section of wall. 2 completely different styles with equally terrifying killing power, tearing 2 huge gaps in the tide and forming the strongest pillars of the entire defense line. But pillars alone are not enough. The center of the line has long since turned into chaos. 2 inexperienced ordinary people, Suman and Lee Jung, are performing like a disaster. Suman has it slightly better since he is a young man with a touch more nerve. He tries to copy me and shoot in bursts, but the psychological pressure has his hands shaking violently and he cannot keep the sight steady on any single zombie. 4 or 5 out of every 10 rounds hit empty ground in puffs of dust. The rest only graze bodies or limbs, never landing the killing blow. Jung is worse. She is shooting with her eyes nearly closed, saying nothing, and holding the trigger down without letting go. A violent tongue of fire spews from her muzzle, countless energy bullets pouring out, the barrel quickly going red from heat, then white smoke and a hissing sizzle as it enters forced cooling. The sea in front of her has one thin lane missing, instantly closed by other zombies. While Seol and I are efficiently clearing the wings, the middle has no real obstruction, and the zombies in the center push toward the wall like a sharp blade. Fish slipping through the net, the first sign of a defense line about to collapse. I notice it, but I do not speak up to nag them, and I do not scold them. I just calmly turn my muzzle during the gaps when the pressure on my own sector eases, and put a few precise bursts into the leaked monsters rushing at the very front. A zombie about to close within 50 meters has its head burst on cue. Another zombie that had its legs broken by Suman and was crawling on the ground gets finished off too. Another point, another percent of evolution bar. CLL does the same at the other end, occasionally splitting off a precise barrage to sweep away the leakers nearest the wall. Without speaking, the two of us tacitly clean up for our useless middle teammates. Not just to protect shared durability, but because, as the saying goes, only a fool leaves freebies on the table. The leaked monsters are free points and free evolution energy. Then a blue light screen pops up above my gun, visible only to me, telling me the evolution bar is full, and giving me 3 choices. Option A, armor-piercing bullet head, bullet power plus 5. Option B, extended magazine, overheat bar limit, plus 20%. Option C, autonomous shooting mode. The gun automatically aims at and shoots the nearest enemy. Autonomous mode. Interesting. My gaze lingers on the 3 for less than half a second. I trust my marksmanship and the overheat bar means almost nothing to me. I pick A without hesitating. The system tells me the enhancement is successful. Current bullet power 10. I lay the muzzle back on the distance and pull the trigger again. The next burst lands with 3 thicker rounds. The hit zombie's entire upper body comes apart in a violent puff of pulped energy. Even the zombie behind it takes a hole through the stomach. The pure sense of power makes a satisfaction I have no name for well up in my chest. But just as the defense line is barely balanced on my and Seal's shoulders, the biggest ticking time bomb finally goes off. So Sionyo's voice, sharp and angry, cuts across the wall demanding to know whether the guy named Gang is sick in the head, asking what the hell I think I am doing stealing her monsters. I cannot even spare attention for her. The noise this woman makes is, to me, no different from the roars of the zombies in the distance. Then she starts her disastrous performance. Her marksmanship is worse than Zhang's. Wildfire the barrel into overheat in under 10 seconds. Firepower scattered so badly that she barely kills a zombie. She complains loudly about what kind of piece of trash gun is this? Why does it not fire faster? All while shooting me resentful looks as if my gun is somehow better than hers. She does not dare to take the aggressive zombies running at the front. Instead, she aims at one Suman has already crippled, intending to steal the kill, and the next few rounds perfectly illustrate human outline level marksmanship. Suman roars that the cripple is his. She throws back that calling something yours does not mean it answers. The repeated failures and the public scolding push her over the edge into full embarrassed rage. She simply throws down the levers, crosses her arms, and starts slacking off, announcing they are all so amazing, all so great, they can fight. She is not playing anymore, since even if the event fails, nobody will die. Then she escalates. She starts firing vicious language at Sumun and Zhang. The two are still struggling to defend, calling Sumun useless trash who has been shooting for ages and not killed. 1. Asking whether he went to college to learn how to jerk off. Calling Zhang a mute who only knows how to cry. Asking whether her whole family got eaten by zombies. Since she loves mourning so much, the curses, like poison needles, drive into the chests of 2 already psychologically collapsing kids. Suman's eyes turn red with anger. His hands shake harder. His bullets fly wider. Zhang was already timid and the vicious words crack her further. She trembles and cannot hold the gun steady. She was at least aiming at the zombies before, and now the rounds fly anywhere. The center of the line is fully blown open. The last bit of inconsequential obstruction is gone. Dozens of zombies roar like a black tide, smash through the final layer, and slam against the wall. Dozens of bodies crashing into steel, the dull impacts making the whole section tremble. The sticky sound of rotting flesh slapping the wall mixes with the hoarse, choking sound of zombies stuck in corners, a noise that lifts every hair on my neck. The durability bar floating in midair starts dropping at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wall durability 99%, 98%, 95%. Under the fearless assault of the zombies, the wall groans, teeth grinding. The bar has slipped from a perfect 100 to 85% and keeps dropping at a steady, not slow pace. The shadow of death is seeping into this 100-meter line with every impact. But what is more suffocating than that is the temperature inside the team, which has already crashed to freezing point. Trash. So Sionyo is shouting again. You are all just trash. Seeing that everyone has stayed silent and only buried their heads, or rather fired blindly, her arrogance is climbing instead of shrinking. She mistakes silence for fear of her. I must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to be placed in a team with you losers, she snarls. Glasses guy. I am talking to you. Do you have Parkinson's? Why are you shaking? And the crybaby over there, keep crying and see if I do not rip your mouth open. Her cursing, like a festering sore, gets more bottomless by the second, eroding the already fragile psychological defenses of Suman and Zhang. My brows knit tight. The existence of this woman is no longer a simple case of a useless teammate. She is a bomb in a closed space, constantly making noise, polluting the air, ready to detonate. Her destructiveness has already surpassed the hundreds of zombies under the wall. I switch my loaded plant in my mind from Sunflower back to pea shooter. The heavy machine guns are bolted to the wall, and the mounts have limiters that restrict their firing arc so they cannot turn on our own people. But my ability can. At the far right end of the line, that wine-red figure suddenly stops firing. Seal releases the lever and slowly straightens up, eyes cold as blades passing over the chaotic middle and the roaring zombies, locking precisely on the spitting Socionio. There is no concealment left in that gaze. It is pure, unadorned, bone-chilling killing intent. Her body turns slightly, muscles tensing in an imperceptible shift, posture like a leopard about to leap on its prey. In the next second, she will rush down from the platform without hesitation, cross this 100-meter front line and personally cut out the internal threat in the most direct and violent way available. I see the unmasked killing intent in Seol's eyes, Sumun's face flushed red with humiliation and anger, and Jung, who is fully broken down, curled up trembling beneath the platform. I see the wall durability bar dropping at an accelerating rate. The line is about to collapse. This cannot go on. My eyes turn profound in an instant. I know better than anyone that this event is not a simple points challenge. This is the first screening round of the survival game. It is here to filter out the mentally broken, the selfish, the ones who cannot adapt to apocalypse rules. The cost of failing this one is enormous. The system already announced that multiplayer mode opens at the next stop. If I fall behind here and miss the key reinforcement resources, then at the next station I will go from hunter to prey. When that time comes, I will not just be beaten, I will die. I do not want to die. My mom and dad are still on Blue Star waiting for me to save them. Therefore, anything that hinders my survival has to be eliminated, whether it is a zombie or a person. I sigh softly. The sound is so soft it might be imagined, swallowed by the clamor. I stay seated at my position, left hand still on the lever and the barrel still aimed at my sector, but the right hand lifts away. I raise my hand and extend my index finger from a distance toward the figure on the adjacent platform still cursing wildly. The finger is fair and slender. It looks like nothing at all. So Seonyo's curse is at its climax. A soft hiss. The sound is as faint as a dewdrop falling onto a leaf. A pea, only the size of a thumb, perfectly emerald green, looking as if it were condensed from the purest plant essence, streaks the under 20-meter gap between the two platforms at a speed the naked eye cannot catch. No breeze, no energy ripple. It just precisely and gently drills into her left temple. A moment of silence, as if someone has pressed pause on the universe. Her sharp, mean, venomous cursing breaks off. Her eyes stay wide with anger, but every trace of spirit in them is drained in an instant. Her body sways like a puppet with cut strings and she falls straight from the 2-meter platform without a sound. A dull thud, the sound of a body hitting the ground. Immediately, a cold notification chimes simultaneously in my mind and in Sumun's, Jung's and Seol's. My teammate So Seonyo has died. The 100-meter wall falls into deathly silence. The distant gunfire and zombie roars sound like they come from another world. The anger and humiliation freeze on Sumun's face and are replaced by an indescribable terror. He whips his head around, fixes me with a stare, mouth wide open and unable to make a sound, only a wheezing hitch escaping his throat. Jung, curled on the ground, trembles violently at the notification too. She lifts her head slowly, her tear-streaked face holding a fear even more extreme than before. At the far end, Seol, who was about to act, pauses too. The look she gives me is shock and surprise. But the shock lasts less than 2 seconds before turning into a hint of understanding and a trace of imperceptible appreciation. She sits back down and grips her lever again. I keep my expression even and lower my right hand slowly, as if I had only just scratched an itch. I climb down from my platform, walk to the adjacent one, glance at the lifeless body, and nimbly climb up onto what had been So Seonye's gun. A clean 3-round burst takes out a few zombies preparing to climb the wall below. The system politely informs me I have killed an ordinary zombie. I clear a few dozen more and the evolution bar on this second gun fills as well. 3 options this time. Option A, armor-piercing warhead, +2 power. Option B, autonomous firing mode, the gun aims and fires automatically at the nearest enemy. Option C, paralysis field, hit enemies have a small chance to fall into a brief paralysis. I choose B without hesitating. A faint blue light passes over the gun, and the heavy weapon seems to come alive, the barrel turning on its own, spitting intermittent flame at a zombie approaching below. One person, dual control. The moment I see the option, I realize it is specifically designed for the problem of team attrition. After all of that, I turn back and look at Sumun and Jung, who are both completely stunned, with eyes calm as an ancient well. My voice is not loud, but it lands clearly. The noise is gone, I tell them. As long as you focus on defending, you will be fine. I add one more sentence. If you really do not want to practice marksmanship, when your guns upgrade, just pick autonomous firing mode. Of course, personally, I still suggest you practice. This is not Blue Star. Cowardice and tears will not buy you sympathy. Sooner or later, you will have to face all of this alone. So Seonyo's body lies quietly under the mount, but nobody spares her a second look. To this defense line that has returned to its proper track, she is no different from the zombies that have been pulped under the wall. On the battlefield, a scene of grim efficiency clicks into place. The 40-meter defense zone on the far left has become a death sector. I control 2 cold killing machines now. The one I operate personally keeps that suffocating cadence of 3-round bursts, every group of howling energy bullets seeming to carry life, finding skulls with precision every time and cleanly reaping. Beside me, the secondary turret, set to autonomous firing mode, performs its duty faithfully. Its fire is haphazard, its accuracy low, It stops when it overheats, but it does not need an operator. The intermittent flame pours hail into the nearest horde and greatly delays the advance. Its kill rate on ordinary zombies actually higher than my main gun. Precision hunting and area suppression form a perfect complement under my hands. This terrifying efficiency is being burned into Sumun's eyes. The fear in his chest, met with my calm words, ferments into a complex awe. No more complaints, no more distractions. He grits his teeth and pours all his energy into his 20-meter zone. He holds my words in his head and tries hard to control his breathing and learn short bursts. He is still flustered, but his hit rate is climbing slowly, firmly, driven by a huge desire to live. Zhang is badly scared, and tear tracks still hang on her pale face. But she realizes belatedly that since the woman with the vicious mouth disappeared, the whole world has quieted. There is only the roar of guns and the shrieks of zombies in her ears. No more cursing that pierces her chest. Trembling, she grabs the lever again. She is still afraid, but at least she can finally aim her muzzle at those hideous monsters without interference and pull the trigger hard. At the far right, Seol has turned back into that precise, efficient killing machine. Her eyes are colder and more focused than before. The short bursts from her weapons swing like the Grim Reaper's scythe, mercilessly reaping every life in her zone. The fifth wave arrives on schedule. The warning loudspeaker reports high mobility units detected. Please be on guard. More than a dozen swift black shadows dart out from the back of the horde. They are a type of zombie leaner and smaller than the ordinary kind, running on all fours like cheetahs at astonishing speed, leaping and weaving through the ruins, movements so unpredictable that aim is impossible. Damn it, Suman shouts in terror. Cannot hit them. His burst leaving only a string of useless holes behind the shadows. Zhang's barrage is even more useless, the things passing right through it. Even Seol, at the other end, makes her first mistake. She sweeps a predictive barrage and a type of zombie cuts a weird sharp turn around it. Her brow furrows imperceptibly. She changes strategy at once, stops trying to land precise hits, and decisively lengthens her bursts, using denser fire to weave a wall of bullets across her zone and forcibly block the advance. I miss too. The first 3-round burst only clips a concrete slab behind the target. Too fast. My eyes narrow and I concentrate my spirit harder. In an instant, the world in my eyes slows. Every flick of muscle on that zombie is captured. Every twitch of its run. The invisible tentacle from my consciousness wraps it like an invisible chain. Now, less than a second to lock, then 2 rounds. The first hits the rear leg right where it is exerting force, the energy blasting that leg off whole. The type of zombie shrieks and tumbles under the inertia. The second round, as if it had eyes, follows the rolling trajectory and drills into the skull. Blood splashes everywhere. The system tells me type of zombie killed, points up by 10, evolution slot up by 5%. In the next dozen seconds, I drop 5 more with the same method. But on the 6th kill, dizziness flickers at the back of my mind. I check the panel and find spirit at 5 out of 9 out of 11. There was a cost. The pea shooter loadout took 2 points and the 6 moments of extreme focus burned 3 more. The remaining spirit is not enough for an endless horde. Do I crack open the primary spirit recovery potion that is my last trump card? No, not yet. Even refilled it would be a drop in the bucket against this sea. The thought flashes and is rejected. That is the card for the final crisis. I look at the others. The 3 on Seol's side are already handled. Only one type of zombie left on the field, having luckily dodged Seol's barrage and now rushing the center where Sumin and Zhang are. Stop it, Sumin roars, terrified, swinging his muzzle, but the movement is too weird to lock. I am a beat slow because of the spirit concern, and Seol's gun has entered a brief overheat from the previous coverage. Sumun, at the critical moment, erupts with unprecedented potential and shouts for Zhang to fire to the left, in front of it, and block its path, no longer firing wildly but actually directing. Startled by the shout, Zhang recovers from her panic, bites her lower lip, aims at the left side of the zombie's path, and pulls the trigger hard. A barrage successfully blocks the route, forcing the zombie to turn right, which puts it square in the line of fire Sumun has already predicted. Die, he yells, eyes bloodshot, pouring all his bullets in. The type of zombie is shredded in the dense net, and the last piece falls helplessly less than 10 meters from the wall. The 2 of them gasp violently, faces full of lingering fear and the ecstasy of surviving. Well done, I tell them, a slight encouragement landing clearly in their ears. Both are stunned, then a huge sense of achievement and the joy of being recognized floods their chests and instantly dispels the remaining fear. They look at each other and find a trace of firmness, their confidence higher than ever. The battle continues in a tense and orderly rhythm. The 6th through 9th waves turn into a full-point farming performance for Squad 106. After my main turret takes power enhancement and another armor-piercing warhead, the bullets it fires become visibly thicker and longer. Now a single 3-round burst can shatter the front zombie's skull on round 1, and have rounds 2 and 3 carry undiminished momentum to punch bull-sized holes through 2 or 3 zombies behind. 3 or 4 with 1 burst is normal. Suman, after recognizing his accuracy problem, wisely picks high explosive warhead. Now every shot, even if it misses, blows the limbs off a few zombies around the impact, more than making up for his marksmanship. Zhongzhong's gun, after stacking overheat reduction and high explosive upgrades, becomes practically the equal of my autonomous turret. The two of them join forces and weave a steel wall of explosions and shrapnel in the center. The wall durability stays steady. When the 10th wave's prompt sounds, there is a moment of silence on the battlefield. Warning, boss level unit detected. Please be prepared. From the horizon comes heavy footsteps like a pile driver, thump thump thump, each step standing on every chest in earshot. Then the distant horde commotes. The black sea of corpses parted from within as if by an invisible icebreaker. Countless ordinary zombies are knocked aside, trampled, crushed under brute force. Out of the flying dust and minced meat, a giant figure rises with overwhelming momentum. A 3-meter zombie covered in heavy bone armor like medieval plate. Iron gray skin, hideous bone spurs jutting along it. The head sheathed in a helmet of bone armor with only the eye positions hollowed out to flash a dark scarlet light. Every step trembles the ground. Behind it, 5 types of zombies as fast as ghosts. Sure enough, heavy armor units. I mutter. I bet right. The heavy footsteps hammer everyone's chest. The heavy armored zombie, over 3 meters tall, is crushing everything in its path and approaching the wall step by step. The 5 types of zombies behind it follow their master like swift hounds, crimson gazes locked on the 4 figures on the wall. On our line, the confidence and morale we just built through mowing the grass shatter in the face of this pure tyrannical power. Suman's face goes pale in an instant. His hands on the levers begin to tremble uncontrollably. The confidence he just built up is a sandcastle being struck by a wave called despair, collapsing instantly. How do we fight this? His voice is dry and powerless. Zhongzhong curls tighter, and the small light in her eyes is replaced by fear again. The monster in front of her is fully outside her understanding. My own gaze gets more solemn than ever. I can feel, almost as a physical pressure, the oppression coming off the heavy armored zombie. I glance at the 2 nearly collapsing teammates beside me and speak in an indisputably calm voice. Leave the big guy to me. It is not loud, but it lands like a stabilizing pill, the panic in their chests miraculously subsiding. They snap their heads up to look at my too calm profile, and the hammer blow of fear softens. You two in Seoul, deal with the 5 small ones first, I continue. Do not save ammo. Suppressive fire, finish it fast. Before my words have faded, the 5 types of zombies lunge out from behind the heavy armored zombie-like arrows from a bow, charging the line at a speed beyond what we have seen. My focus snaps tight. My eyes track the 5 black shadows darting through the ruins, but this time I deliberately suppress the urge to enter that extreme focus state. I know the state burns massive energy, and it is my trump card for true crises. These 5 appetizers are not qualified to make me spend that spirit. I shift tactics, abandoning my signature precision bursts and adopting continuous fire like Seoul. Violent flame spews from my muzzle and forms an airtight barrage that pours over the type of zombies route. I do not aim for them. I predict where they will be and build a wall of death in front of them with bullets. The 2 types of zombies in the lead slam headlong into the barrage of high penetration rounds and are shredded into flying bits. The efficiency is worse than precision kills, and the overheat bar climbs fast, but the greatest advantage is that it saves my precious spirit. On the other side, Suman copies me, using his high explosive rounds for suppression. He cannot land direct hits, but the violent blasts hinder the advance. Seoul takes suppression to the extreme and quickly handles the 2 she is responsible for. Zhongzhong in the center pauses for a moment when she sees my style change. A flash of hesitation and struggle crosses her eyes. He is using spray fire too. Does that precise shooting from before come with a price? A thought emerges from the depths of her heart on its own. Spirit power. She wants to speak, to ask whether I changed tactics because spirit consumption was too high, to tell me her talent seems like it could help. But the words reach her lips and refuse to come out. Her social anxiety naturally fears communicating with others, and the one she would be talking to is the man who, not long ago, expressionlessly shot a living person with a P. That decisiveness has left an indelible shadow in her. She fears the moment she opens her mouth, he will stare at her with the eyes that look at a dead person. So she chooses silence, lowers her head, and vents the fear and hesitation onto the trigger, using violent firepower to mask the cowardice in her chest. Not long after the 5 types of zombies are wiped out, the heavy armored zombie finally steps into our effective range. It ignores all firepower and simply approaches step by step. Now I think, gaze sharpening, and the long-awaited 3-round burst whistles out. 3 armor-piercing rounds, several times enhanced, leave 3 pale blue energy streaks across the air and accurately hit the bone armor helmet. A piercing clang clang clang, like metal striking metal, rings across the wall. My pupils shrink suddenly. The terrifying attack that could shred 3 or 4 ordinary zombies has this time left only 3 coin-sized ghastly white shallow pits on the thick helmet. Seal's attack arrives at the same time. Her armor-piercing rounds are even less effective than mine, kicking only fine sparks off the bone armor. Clearly her enhancement path, leaning into fire rate and barrages, is inadequate for armor this heavy. Suman and Zhongzhong's high explosive rounds might as well be scratching an itch through a boot. After the flames and smoke clear, there is not even a soot mark on the heavy armored zombie's body. How is this possible? Suman lets out a despairing wail. My heart sinks too. I keep firing 3-round bursts at the same spot, trying to break the armor through persistence while my brain runs at full speed. No, the armor breaking rate is too low. No way to break the turtle shell before it reaches the wall. The zombie's weakness has to be the head. If the helmet can be broken, theoretically it dies easy. Or, my gaze locks suddenly on the 2 holes in the helmet reserved for the eyes. There is no bone protection there, but those holes are tiny, only the size of normal eyes, and the heavy armored zombie keeps moving. Hitting them is no different from a pipe dream. But now there are no other choices. I take a deep breath, lower the muzzle a hair, and fire a tentative 3-round burst at the swaying eye holes. Clang, clang, clang. All 3 rounds hit hard bone armor. 2 more tries with the same result. The thing is already closed to within 100 meters, a hint of mockery seeming to peek through the crimson eyes. I grit my teeth. No more hesitation. Eyes shut and snap open. The whole world slows down in my perception. The heavy armored zombie's forward movement is slowed dozens of times in my vision. I can even see the slight rotations of the crimson pupils within the holes. 2 precise 3-round bursts in 2 seconds. 6 bullets, like 6 streaks of vengeful light, pierce space and pour accurately into the right eye hole. A deafening roar of extreme agony erupts from its mouth. Its forward movement halts. Then, like a fully infuriated madman, it spins wildly in place, those 2 arms thicker than water buckets swinging like giant hammers, smashing the ground frantically and aimlessly. The earth around it explodes into terrifying craters. Countless ordinary zombies trailing behind it are swept into flying meat paste by the indiscriminate attack. The thing forcibly clears a vacuum zone with a 20-meter diameter around itself. Now is the time. Give it everything, I roar. The other 3 snap out of it and immediately pour all firepower onto the huge raging target. Countless bullets and explosions erupt on its body. Though they still cannot break the heavy armor, each attack seems to intensify its pain, and its health begins to drop, very slowly. After a full dozen seconds, the frenzy fades. It returns to normal, the crimson lone eye even more murderous as it steps once more toward the wall. Still coming, a ruthlessness flashes in my own eyes. I repeat the trick, activating Spirit Lock again, and 2 more rounds of precise 3-round bursts hit the eye again. Another shrill howl. Another window of localized frenzy. Another concentrated output. The cycle repeats twice. When I activate Spirit Lock the 3rd time and pour another round into the mangled socket, this once arrogant boss finally reaches its limit. The massive body crashes to its knees and slams onto the ground, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. The system congratulates Squad 106 on successfully killing the boss-level unit Armored Tyrant Larva. Evaluation A. Reward. 200 points. Suman and Seol breathe a sigh of relief at the prompt. My face looks worse than it has all day. I check status. Spirit 4 out of 9 out of 11. To kill the boss, I have already squeezed my insufficient spirit to a dangerous brink. My face has gone pale from the consumption. Then a timid, trembling small voice rises beside me. Big brother gang. I turn my head and see Li Zhangzheng looking at me timidly, large eyes filled with nervousness and a hint of expectation. You used spirit power, right? The girl summons all the courage of her life and speaks in a voice as faint as a mosquito buzz, the words making my pupils shrink suddenly. My talent, seems like it can help you recover spirit power. Her voice is nearly drowned out by the roar of gunfire, and yet to me it lands like thunder rolling through the soul. I whip my head around. My eyes, gone dim from overexhaustion of spirit, erupt with an unbelievable scorching intensity. For the first time, my pale face shows a violent surge of emotion, a mixture of shock and sheer ecstasy. What did you say? My voice scratches with extreme excitement. The sudden eruption of presence makes her instinctively take half a step back. She thinks she has said something wrong, and her already barely audible voice goes more stuttered. My talent is called spirit feedback. Seeing the terror on her face, as if she is about to burst into tears, I realize I have lost composure. I forcibly suppress the turbulent waves inside, take a deep breath, and speak in the softest tone I can manage, slowing my speech as much as possible. I tell her not to be afraid, that I mean no harm, and ask if she can tell me about the talent in detail because it is very important to me, to all of us. My tone carries an unprecedented solemnity and a faint, nearly imperceptible earnestness. She is stunned. In my eyes, she sees heartfelt urgency and joy. Not fake, not calculated. Pure ecstasy, like that of a traveler who has trekked the desert for days and finally seen the oasis. So, he is not angry, he is actually happy. Recognizing it, the heavy stone hanging in her heart finally crashes to the ground. A warm current rises from her chest, dispelling unease and cowardice. So, I am useful too. So, I can help him too. With her mind settled, her thinking becomes clearer and her voice slightly louder. My talent is called spirit feedback, she tells me. And it has 2 uses. The first is slow feedback. She can consume 1 point of her own spirit and select a target. Over the next hour, they will continuously recover a total of 3 spirit points. The second is emergency feedback. She can immediately transfer all of her spirit to a target at 1-to-1 ratio, but she will enter a weakened state. After I finish listening, the ecstasy in my chest is beyond words. This is not just any talent. This is a mobile, inexhaustible spirit fountain with an efficiency of 1 to 3. My greatest shortcoming, my fatal flaw of having a mage's explosive output but a spirit bar that runs out, is fully compensated at this moment. It is enough. More than enough, I tell her, the light of ambition flickering in my eyes. Lee Jong, listen to me. You are the treasure of our team. From now on, your safety is the team's highest priority. I spare no expense on praise and promises. For now, you only need to use slow feedback on me. Do not use the second type. It is too taxing for you. She answers. Receiving solemn affirmation from me, a heartfelt, brilliant smile blooms on her face for the first time. She nods heavily, raises her fair little hand, and aims at me from a distance. A soft, nearly invisible pale blue glimmer flies from her fingertips and silently merges into my body. A cool, vibrant energy, like a clear spring in a mountain stream, slowly pours into my nearly parched sea of spirit. Slow, but the sensation of being continuously nourished and restored is clear and reassuring. The system confirms I have gained the spirit feedback effect, with 3 points to recover over the next hour. Thank you, I tell her solemnly. You are welcome, she answers, lowering her head bashfully, then returning to her gun. Anyone can see her mood has fully shifted. Her fire becomes steadier, more confident, and the cowardice on her face is unconsciously replaced by a radiance called a sense of value. With spirit replenishment for backup, I have no worries. I throw myself back into the battle. On the upgrades, I stick to the plan. Main turret keeps stacking power and armor penetration. Autonomous turret goes all in on area of effect, sustained damage and debuff effects. Just then, in the corner of my eye, I notice the tragic state of the neighboring section. A team of 5 male survivors with clearly poor luck. A heavy armored tyrant has already reached the foot of their wall and is slamming massive fists against the steel, blow after blow. Every impact makes the section tremble. The durability bar plummets at a rate visible to the naked eye, looking ready to drop under the warning line. The 5 survivors are futilely chipping with various attacks, faces full of despair. I call across the gap and offer them help, my voice landing like a godsend. The 5 next door are stunned for a beat. Then, like drowning men clutching at a straw, the leading burly man shouts back with all his strength and begs me to please save them. I tell him all right, succinct. With a mobile fountain at my back, the one thing I am no longer short on is spirit. I turn my main turret on the rampaging heavy armored tyrant. Extreme focus, activate. The world slows to slow motion again. I aim at the tiny eye slits. Absolute power is enough to crush any fancy defense. 3 precise 3-round bursts in 3 seconds. 9 extremely enhanced armor-piercing rounds capable of punching through anything, line up like 9 meteors and strike the eye sockets with pinpoint accuracy. They pour in without resistance and churn the foul brain into mush. Spirit consumption 2. The once invincible tyrant's wall-smashing motion freezes, the massive body slumping powerlessly. On the neighboring line, dead silence. The 5 survivors stare dumbfounded at this surreal scene. Minds gone blank. Several seconds before they react and erupt into a world-shaking cheer. Holy crap, instant killed. Boss, do you need followers? I am very useful and not clingy at all. Endless gratitude and flattery surges like a tide. I give a calm nod, turn my muzzle back, as if I had only done something trivial. Within the team, Seol's cold gaze sweeps over Jong and me. She does not speak, but a faint, nearly imperceptible shock flashes in the depths of her eyes. She knows better than anyone what that burst of power just meant. The strength of this team has expanded to a terrifying level. The subsequent battles confirm her read. From the 11th wave to the 39th wave, the battle can no longer be called defense for Team 106. It is a one-sided hearty slaughter. As the gun levels climb, zombies that once caused great trouble become fragile as paper. After my main turret unlocks the high-frequency vibration core, my bullets trigger high-frequency resonance on penetration and shatter internal structure outright. Any zombie I lock onto, common or type of zombie, has one end, exploding into a mist of blood. My autonomous turret unlocks cluster bombs in slow field. Every explosion splits into smaller bombs for a secondary bombardment, and leaves an energy field that makes it hard for zombies to move an inch. Suman and Jung's high-explosive barrages are upgraded to fire high-explosive shells, and leave a sea of raging flames after each blast. Under the 4-gun firepower, the whole battlefield turns into a deathly purgatory woven from penetration, explosions, fire, and force fields. Despite the numbers, no zombie can even get within 100 meters of the wall. The so-called zombie tide has fully turned from a threat into experience fodder for us to farm. The battle becomes simple, monotonous, and even a bit boring. Wall durability stays steady at 85%. Just when everyone thinks the defense is about to end easily in mowing down mode, the 40th wave arrives. Final warning, the big guy is here. Good luck to all recruits. The loudspeaker has lost its cold electronic flatness this time, and carries a hint of human quality, like a sigh of pity. The deafening gunfire eerily dies down. Thump, thump, thump. This time the footsteps are not a pile driver, they are an earthquake. The wall trembles violently with each step. On the distant horizon, a massive shadow, larger than anyone could have imagined, slowly stands up. It has been crouching there all along. Its bulk had been mistaken for a continuous stretch of ruins. Over 10 meters tall, as massive as a mobile siege tower, the whole body covered in heavy bone armor like black mountain rock. A super large zombie. Its head is already higher than our platforms. In the eye positions of its helmet, 2 visors like blood-red rubies are embedded. The crimson light swirling slowly as it looks down indifferently at our figures on the wall, who are as tiny as ants. The bone armor is covered in sharp bone spikes that glint coldly in the sunlight. The sounds of the entire world feel as if they have been forcibly sucked away by the massive black shadow rising from the horizon. Gunfire roars, the whistling wind, all of it falls into a silent extinction under those indifferent crimson giant eyes that look down on us as if upon ants. It is a primal fear from the bottom of the food chain, the kind a tiny individual feels in front of a massive insurmountable creature. You are joking, right? Suman's voice rasps like 2 pieces of sandpaper rubbing together. The machine gun in his hands, a slaughter tool that brought him infinite pleasure not long ago, suddenly looks small and ridiculous. Li Zhongjong cannot make a sound. She clutches her mouth tightly to keep the scream that wants to burst through her throat from escaping. Even Seol, always cold as ice, gets fine beads of cold sweat on her hands gripping the levers for the first time. I hear myself swallow. My heart is hammering. A complex emotion mixed with fear and battle intent floods my chest. I know perfectly well that the big guy in front of us is no longer a thing any single squad can handle. Sure enough, once standing tall, the thing does not immediately attack in any specific direction. Instead, it opens its cavernous mouth and lets out a deafening roar. The system blares a warning that the heavy armored giant zombie has awakened and that it will launch indiscriminate attacks across the entire defensive line. Speakers along the wall echo the announcement across every section. There is only one, at least only one in this direction. I instantly grasp the key information. That means it is a public boss, the final test that all survivors in the entire area have to face together. It also means it is the key to widening the gap in event points. The roar deepens and the giant moves, striding forward on legs like bridge piers, charging the wall. Thump, thump, thump. The earth wails, space itself trembles. We cannot let it get close. My eyes sharpen like knives and I instantly activate my precious focus state. Spirit 6 out of 9 out of 11. The world slows in my eyes again. I lock precisely on the massive ruby-like goggles over its right eye. 2 3-round bursts, reinforced multiple times to the limit, carrying my strongest armor-piercing capability, draw a brilliant energy trail in the air, and slam fiercely into the same spot on the blood-red goggles. A series of long, crisp echoing sounds, like a giant bronze bell being struck, roll across the entire battlefield. My pupils constrict suddenly. The attack that was enough to shatter a heavy tyrant's bone armor along with its head this time is completely deflected. The 6 high-energy armor-piercing concussive rounds are like striking an immovable wall, ricocheting uselessly, leaving only a negligible pale white scratch on the mirror-smooth goggles. Damn, I blurt out a curse. This hardness has fully exceeded my expectations. I glance at the almost unchanged goggles, then at the remaining 6 points of spirit. The most rational and calm judgment lands at once. Give up. Give up for now, until a real weakness is found, or its defense is worn down to some degree. Wasting spirit and ammunition is futile and only draws its attention to me. Everyone, ignore the big guy, I shout, the order exploding on the wall like a clap of thunder. Prioritize clearing the elite monsters and leaders following behind it. Hold the line. The command pulls the 3 dazed teammates back to reality. Seol reacts first, immediately turning her muzzle to pour fire onto the types of zombies and heavy zombies charging along with the giant. Sumun and Zhongjong follow at once. They have developed an almost instinctive, absolute trust in my orders. My main turret turns back into a precise, efficient scavenger. I stop paying attention to the giant zombie closing in step by step and instead focus all my attention on the mobs that are still lethal threats to ordinary survivors. Under a 6-round burst, a heavy tyrant's helmet shatters instantly. 2 types of zombies are intercepted and blown apart midair by predictive fire. With my actions, I provide a solid umbrella for the entire team and the neighboring squads. The giant's footsteps will not stop because of any of this. It finally reaches the base of the wall. Its massive fist, like a battering ram, carries the force of 10,000 tons and slams fiercely into a section of wall. The whole 100-meter section shakes violently. The durability bar of the hit section drops from a perfect 100% straight to 70%. The survivors on that part of the line let out cries of terror. The attacks are relentless, the giant a tireless siege engine using pure violence to ravage the line. Screams, explosions, the groans of structures rise and fall. Section after section watches its durability bleed out frantically. 70%. 60. Soon the durability of the first section drops below the warning line of half. At that moment, a brilliant sky-blue hexagonal shield made of pure energy rises from that section and steadily blocks subsequent attacks. At the top of the waiting hall tower, the guard who has been silent all this time slowly raises his energy spear. Defensive line severely damaged. His cold voice spreads across Plainstown. Protector protocol initiated. Nearby guard units begin taking over the defense zones. Take those failures down. One by one, blue energy shields light up on the walls whose durability is dropped under the line that finally frees the survivors from fear, and they pour rage and bullets onto the giant. Thousands of bullets hit its massive body like a torrential rainstorm. Under concentrated fire, the bone armor begins to show cracks. The head is the primary focus. The sturdy bone helmet is slowly worn down and peeled away under the continuous bombardment, revealing relatively fragile internal structure. The two ruby-like goggles are no longer smooth, covered in fine web-like cracks, looking like they could shatter at any moment. I have been waiting for an opportunity to deliver the final decisive blow. After clearing the last batch of elite monsters, my main turret leisurely picks off shots at the giant's head. I am waiting for the helmet to be on the verge of shattering, and for my spirit to recover bit by bit under Zhongzhong's mobile fountain. Spirit 8 out of 9 out of 11. Seeing my available spirit at 8, noticing the giant's movements slowed under the concentrated fire, while the helmet is riddled with cracks, I know the time has come. Seol, Sumun, Zhongzhong, prepare for suppressive fire to help me draw its attention. My voice rings out in the team channel again, this time with a determination that cannot be missed. I want it facing our way. Understood, the three answer in unison and immediately ramp their firepower to maximum. Seol's dense barrage tightly blocks the giant's vision. Sumun's high explosive fire shells erupt in bursts of flame on its cheeks, and Zhongzhong's deceleration field slows its movements by half a beat. The trio precisely draws the giant's attention, and it slowly turns its massive body towards Squad 106. I take a deep breath and exhale slowly. My eyes turn dark and extremely focused. Veins bulge on my forehead as I mobilize all 8 points of recovered spirit at once, without reservation. That feeling again, like a divine sense lock on. This time the world in my eyes is slower and clearer than ever. What I lock onto is no longer the entire goggle, but the intersection of one of the cracks on the cracked goggles. A point smaller than a needle's tip, right here. My right hand presses the trigger tight. I am still using bursts, but the effect is continuous fire. A long, unbroken cadence rattles out as my main turret, its barrel reinforced several times and shimmering with cold metal light, begins to glow red hot. The temperature climbs higher and higher. I do not care in the slightest. In the few seconds before the gun shuts down for overheat, nearly 100 high-energy bullets, condensed with my strongest power and armor-piercing attributes, turn into a highly concentrated torrent of energy. They cross the distance of several hundred meters with a will to tear everything apart and slam fiercely into the tiny point I have locked onto. Time feels infinitely stretched. The first round hits, and the crack at the intersection deepens. The second, the third, the 10th. When a continuous stream of bullets carrying the same terrifying kinetic energy slams relentlessly into the same point, the quantitative change finally triggers a qualitative one. A faint but incredibly clear sound of shattering rings out inside the violent torrent. That point is pierced through. This tiny gap created by dozens of bullets becomes the last straw that breaks the camel's back, the starting point for the collapse of the entire defensive system. Subsequent bullets meet no further obstacle. Following the pierced point like a flood finding an outlet, they frantically and eagerly pour into the giant's massive head. The high-frequency vibration core effect triggers. Dozens of bullets simultaneously kick the highest frequency of resonance inside its enclosed cranial cavity. That massive head, which should have been indestructible, becomes a sealed iron box with countless bombs thrown inside. It is completely disintegrated from the inside. Roar, the giant's fist, about to swing again, stiffens in midair. In its crimson searchlight like giant eyes, a hint of confusion appears for the first and last time. Its massive mountain-like body crashes backward. The thick bone armor shatters and splashes on impact, and the shockwave sends surrounding ordinary zombies flying dozens of meters away. With a loud boom, the ground of the entire plains town shakes violently. Amidst the swirling dust, the crimson eyes slowly dim, losing every last trace of luster. The system congratulates the recruits on successfully repelling the zombie tide and defending Plainstown, telling us the zombies are beginning to retreat and to go to the waiting hall and find the quartermaster to exchange for rewards. The air in the waiting hall is thick with the smell of metal, sweat, and a faint scent of blood. Hundreds of survivors crowd into this cramped space, discussing in low voices. Countless voices intertwine into a constant hum like a swarm of flies. On the wall directly in front of the hall hang two massive light screens, their cold white light reflecting off everyone's faces. The left screen takes up only a fifth of the width, scrolling with eye-catching red text showing individual point rankings for the Plainstown defense battle. Highest to lowest, only after a person claims their rewards does their name scroll down a line. Those who have not claimed remain pinned in place, subjected to scrutiny. The right screen occupies the rest, dense blue text listing exchangeable supplies and required points, every line tugging at survivor nerves. Subspace storage box type 1, 8,000 points limited to 100 units. Train cleaning cabin, 0 points. Multifunctional cooking station, 2,000 points. Multifunctional cooking, 5,000 points. Multifunctional autonomous defense machine gun turret, 2,500 points. Steam locomotive upgrade blueprint, 1,000 points, and so on down the list. Below the screens, a row of counters gleam with cold, hard metallic luster. Quartermaster Lilith sits behind them with her legs crossed, looking impatient. Outside the counters, guards armed with live ammunition stand straight, black muzzles pointing diagonally at the ground, sharp eyes scanning, preventing any excessive moves from the restless crowd. Survivors surround the screens in circles. Some calculate, others stare at the rankings. That wave was too intense, someone says. The walls adjacent to mine on both sides had their shields broken and were eliminated. Mine was one hit away. Almost lost 6,000 points. You only have that many, another sneers. I have 12,600. The autonomous machine gun turret is invincible for home defense, but it costs 2,500. The subspace storage box is too expensive. Holy crap, there is one for 0 points. That is a must buy. What is up with that big shot at the top of the list? 28,000 points. Is that even humanly possible? I stand in the middle of the hall, flanked by Sumun, Zhangzhang, and Seol. I tilt my head and the gaze lands on the left screen. My identification number sits firmly in 5th place, followed by a striking number, 23,000 points. My fingers unconsciously rub my chin while my mind races through calculations. The subspace storage box is a must. 10 cubic meters and items not counting toward the train's weight limit. A vital necessity given how many heavy supplies I am about to be carrying. The train medical cabin has to be exchanged too. If I catch a fever or take a minor injury later, I would rather not have it drag into a terminal illness while I wait to die. The cleaning cabin is free, so definitely a take. The multifunctional cooking station and simple water purifier blueprints improve quality of life and prevent water shortages, especially since I have been chewing compressed biscuits at every meal for days and am truly sick of them. The balanced type locomotive upgrade blueprint suits my preferences best, accounting for both speed and load. Then fuel and basic supplies. Coal and iron are non-negotiable, since train upgrades and crafting both eat them. A bulletproof vest, since the stab-proof vest is not going to keep up. As for weapons and autonomous machine guns, although I want them, I give up after running the points. With the pea shooter, I can replace the autonomous gun in most situations, and after loading the pea shooter, I am personally far stronger than I would be holding a blade. A handle 9996. 0377, come over for exchange. Lilith's lazy voice rings out. The man at the top of the points list is wearing a tracksuit covered in bloodstains. Lean, ruthless gaze. As he walks to the counter, the people around him subconsciously back away. A suppressed commotion rises from the crowd. It is him, someone whispers. I remember him. Their team was right next to ours. They started with 5, and now he is the only one. I saw it with my own eyes, another says. During the second wave, he pushed 2 of his teammates down to feed the zombies, and during the final wave against the giants, he finished the remaining 2. Madman, murderer, do not make eye contact. Careful he does not hold a grudge. The whispers are not loud, but they reach those nearby. He speaks expressionlessly, voice raspy, naming his exchanges. Subspace storage box, speed type locomotive blueprint, exquisite spear, bow, ordinary arrow manufacturing blueprint with infinite use, primary spirit recovery pill, autonomous defense machine gun turret, medical cabin, cleaning cabin 40 units of iron, 40 units of wood, 40 units of coal, 20 portions of compressed biscuits, 20 portions of water. Lilith's fingertips tap quickly. Remaining point 0. Confirm. Confirm. He takes the reward box and turns to leave. As he passes through the crowd, his ruthless eyes sweep over everyone and scare them into instinctively lowering their heads. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places are all similar cases. Sole survivors of their teams, carrying obvious bloodstains or signs of combat, exchanges geared toward offensive weapons and arrows. Something is not right. Someone breathes. Why are the top rankers all loners and their points ridiculous? Then a survivor figures it out, voice trembling. It is autonomous mode. These people are too ruthless. What do you mean? Asks another. They slaughtered their teammates, he answers. They let their teammates' guns stay in autonomous mode for continuous output. And in the end, they hogged the entire team's points for themselves. Holy crap, gasps the first. You can even do that. The tone of the discussion shifts instantly. The initial envy vanishes and is replaced by chilling wariness and deep fear. Even the breathing in the room becomes heavy. Soon it is my turn. I step forward slowly, posture upright, expression calm. Sumun follows behind me, radiating a sense of reflected pride. Perhaps because my face lacks the ruthlessness of the men ahead of me and looks too gentle, a sneer comes from behind as soon as I stand still. The speaker is a burly man with a full beard and a hideous scar stretching from the corner of his eye to his temple, fierce-looking on purpose. He crosses his arms over his chest and deliberately raises his voice so the entire hall can hear. Tisk tisk, 5th place, 23,000 points if you ask him. Am I not also a ruthless character who killed teammates for points? Otherwise, how could I get such a high score? At the words, gazes focus on me. Sumun's face turns beet red instantly. He He lunges forward a step, his chest heaving as he points at the bearded man and shouts back, "The man does not know a damn thing. Our team originally had 5. That person named So Sionyo started slacking off during the first wave of zombies. It is one thing to hide in the back and not fight, but she kept harassing and insulting Zhongjong. Brother Gang clearing out an internal traitor who sabotaged the team is perfectly justified." The roar silences the hall for a moment, and the crowd immediately splits into 2 factions. "Internal traitors who mess with people's heads should be cleared," says one voice. "The idiot in our team was just like that. Terrible aim but blamed everything on everyone else." "Exactly," agrees another. "Letting parasites be drags the whole team's score down." Voices of agreement rise from survivors whose faces are filled with exhaustion and resentment. But others join the bearded man in heckling, "Why act so noble? How can anyone get a high score these days without killing teammates?" "Right," says someone else. "He probably used a dirty trick to swallow his teammates' points to scrape together such a high ranking." Hearing support, the bearded man's smile grows more triumphant as he watches me with contempt. I do not say a word from beginning to end. I just faintly glance at the scar over his left brow bone and silently memorize the face. I have no interest in arguing. If we meet again later, I hope he will still be this tough. Quartermaster Lilith taps the counter and breaks the dispute. "5th place, 23,000 points. What are you exchanging for?" I withdraw my gaze and tell her the plan already calculated. Subspace storage box, balanced enhanced steam locomotive upgrade blueprint, train medical cabin, cleaning cabin, multifunctional cooking station, simple water purifier blueprint, balanced type steam locomotive blueprint 1 unit, train carriage blueprint 10 units, 20 units of coal, 40 units of iron, 10 units of compressed biscuits, 10 units of water. Her fingers calculate rapidly. Total 23,000. 0 remaining. Confirm. Confirm. She nods and pulls out a palm-sized silver box from under the counter and hands it to me. A playful smile curls at the corner of her mouth as she leans toward my ear and whispers softly, telling me she likes the look of me. And as a friendly tip, the box and everything inside will disappear in 3 hours, so I had better move fast. I take the box, which feels slightly cool, and instinctively activate the hint panel. Temporary event reward box. Type one-time storage item. Status openable. Destruction countdown. 2 hours 59 minutes 50 seconds. Remarks, please remove internal items as soon as possible. Will be automatically destroyed after the time limit. I understand. I nod my thanks to Lilith and put away the box. The 3 behind me have different expressions. Ciel stays expressionless, but her eyes hold a look of realization. Zhongjong grips the corner of her clothes, looking like she wants to say something. Sumun opens his mouth, originally wanting to remind me to exchange for an autonomous machine gun turret, then remembers how So Seon-Yeo died. That person seemed to have been shot by Brother Gang using an unknown long-range method. Did Brother Gang have his own weapon? But he still cannot figure it out.